What's going on, friends? It's Anton Daniels, and I gotta have a conversation with you guys about Tiege Hanley because you see how the sun is hitting me. This is no finesse, no makeup, no filters, no none of that. This is 100% Tiege Hanley. I use it in the morning as soon as I get up, right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though they're giving you 40% off your first order, 20% off for life, even though you may get a free gift, forget all that, right? Because we would do this even if it was full price because it's worth that much. I'm in the streets, I'm kicking it with people when I see Dusties everywhere. You don't want to be them. You want to separate yourself. And the way that you separate yourself is self-care. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. I'm about to hit the streets right now and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. I mean, I already got confidence, but to have that extra boost of confidence, knowing that you've taken care of yourself and you set yourself apart from all of the rest of the sheep that's walking around making bad decisions on a daily basis. And it's reflected in their actions. It's reflected in the products that they use. It's reflected in the people that they follow. And so if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to make sure that you look good, they're going to send you the pack. They're going to give you all of the instructions on how you're supposed to use it. Then make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. Again, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Make sure you tap in with your boy Anton Daniels because Unc is never going to lead you wrong. I would never have you use a product that I don't use myself. Again, they've been rocking with me for a long time. Make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I'm your host, Anton Daniels. And as usual, I am doing this show from home until basically the new year. Why? Because we're actually having these studio redesigns. So for those of you that are rocking with me and that has been rolling with me for a long time, I appreciate you. I love you, but you know that we don't miss. Somebody said, let me read this early super chat and then we're going to really get into the show. Devin Braxton says, Anton, take a break. It's Thanksgiving. I'm sorry? Devin, are you new here? Devin, listen, I appreciate you for the super chat, but you must be new here. Listen, if anybody has been following me for any extended period of time, you know that this is just another day. This is just another day in the neighborhood. Now, yeah, I will probably go over and experience some Thanksgiving dinner. I've been stealing pound cake all day. Oh, have y'all ever had true, real pound cake, 7-Up pound cake made from scratch? Why you in here? You said that I could eat whatever it is that I wanted. So why you acting like I'm crazy because I got some pound cake? Well, it ain't been the whole day. It's been the morning. It's just a little bit gone. Oh, Time Dog been stealing pound cake all day. All morning. This has been breakfast for me. I know listen. Macaroni and cheese, that's gone. You know, we supposed to be taking this over to the whole family meeting, you know what I'm saying? But macaroni and cheese, a little bit of that's gone. Greens, just a little bit of that's gone. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's for here? What, the mac and cheese is for here? Oh my God. All right. So, anyways, um, yeah, man, it's been a great morning for me. We just gonna go ahead and take the day off from a diet perspective. Nah, but nah, we've been eating it since last night too. But anyways, the whole point is that I'm thankful for food. All right. I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for good food. But more, yeah, we got to do the taste test for quality control, Michael Johnson. That's a fact. Yeah, man, it's been. We used to have these at the restaurant, at the first restaurant that I built. We had these pound cakes, we had the macaroni and cheese, we had the whole thing. We would put together these little concoctions. Nah, I ain't gonna talk about it right now. But anyways, like I said, we don't miss. So it don't matter whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or a birthday or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We still got to take care of business. So I appreciate y'all for rocking out with me. Thank y'all for continuing to tune in. Y'all not taking no day off from watching. So why should I take a day off from live streaming? Let me give you a little bit of a secret for those of y'all that may not be familiar. I'm going to give y'all a little bit of a secret, all right? The secret is because, like, for example, homie said, Anton, take a day off, it's Thanksgiving. Okay, cool. I just look at that as an excuse for people that don't want to work. They always looking forward to a day off. Now, if your job give you the day off, then take it, take advantage of it. You're getting paid for it anyway. But here's a secret. And a lot of y'all that know me and the people that's a part of the Patreon and the Bag Chasers, y'all familiar with it, right? Here's a secret. The days when everybody is off, that's the day where you live stream, because then you capture, because people are still looking for something. People are still into their routines. People wake up and they still normalize, hey, listen, I need to do this, I need to do that. And they still wake up at the same time. They don't change the time that they wake up and stuff like that. So the key is when everybody else takes off, that's when you take advantage. When everybody else takes off, that's when you take advantage. And so you don't do it when everybody else is doing it. That's what you do. That's your reasonable service. That's what's normal. What separates you from everybody else is your consistency, your dedication, and your ability to take advantage when everybody else messes up. So while everybody else is sleeping in and having a good time, you know what I did? I had videos dropping at 2 a.m. I had videos dropping at 5 a.m. Because guess what? Over in Africa and over in Tokyo, and I got people and I look at my demographics, they still up. They on the opposite time zone as the people over here in the United States of America. It's 9 billion people in this world. You think I'm only targeting the 350 million people that's in the United States of America? So my mind thinks differently. My mind thinks differently. I don't focus on what everybody else is doing. I don't look at it and say, oh, it's a 5-day work week. I look at it and say people are up 7 days a week. I don't look at it and say, well, this is the time that everybody work. I look at it and say, well, what about the people that work midnight shift? They need content. They need stuff to be able to get them through the day. We got after hours. We got the Millionaire Morning Show. We got the Q Show. We got everything for everybody. And so for me, I look at it differently, and I understand. I'm not saying that everybody got to work like me. I'm not saying that everybody got to have the same perspective and the same dedication as me. But what I am saying is that we different over at the Bag Chasers. So some people may be looking at it and saying, oh man, you need to take the day off. For what? I got a good full 8 hours of sleep last night. I'm up now. We good over here. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Shout out to everybody that's up. Yes, we will be live streaming on After Hours tonight. We will be live streaming on After Hours tonight. So after y'all get y'all turkeys, after the Lions win their Thanksgiving game, after y'all watch y'all football, after you get done and getting tired of going over your parents' house and your family's house and they continue to get mad at you about who you voted for and all of that other type of stuff, you can come on home, turn on your TV, put us on the TV, put us on YouTube, and enjoy After Hours, because me and all my friends is going to be live streaming tonight, all right? So, shout out to y'all. I want y'all to join the Patreon, but don't join today because it's late in the month, and the best day to join the Patreon is what? The beginning of the month. So, make sure you wait until December 1st. December 1st is when I want y'all to join the Patreon. So, hold off to all of the new Bag Chasers. December 1st is when I want you to join the Patreon. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, shout out to Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. And then last but not least, make sure you get your tickets. Come and see me December 14th in Detroit. We're going to be rocking out, all right? I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all ready to get started with the show? Let me read some of these cash apps before I get started. I want to acknowledge Christopher Donaldson from yesterday. Spencer Campbell says late, but I'm here now. Joe said, I'm trying to get a 4-minute pitch for a position. I'm going to look at that YouTube. Shout out to Limitless Joe. Thank you, my friend. Let me give a round of applause for Joe because Joe is pitching. Life of Leisure Gio says, happy Thanksgiving to the Daniels family. Shout out to my dog, Gio. Karen Brown, I love you. Thank you for that. Mike, that dude is in the building in ESDC. Thank you to everybody that support the platform. I love y'all. I'm going to read a few more super chats and then we're going to get it in. How much sugar in that? I don't even know. Cake. I don't even know. Listen, this is a special day. At least I'm streaming, Slimmy. You know what I'm saying? We're going to put away the Welch's. We're going to pick up the pound cake. It's sugar-free. Shout out to my dog, Slimmy. J-Dub says, for the collection plate, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody that's out there. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to the super sticker. Gab, Light Too Bright. I appreciate you for the super chat and the super sticker. Bushido Gaming 415 says, AD, you rubbing off on Fatty. He destroyed Cooley. Yeah, you know what? I talked to my girl, Courtney Michelle, last night. Courtney called me last night, and we had a pretty good conversation, so I was talking to her. Shout out to Courtney, my girl. Shout out to my dog, Kojak. Kojak in the building says, what up, though? Happy Thanksgiving. Dropped the video on my other channel this morning. Ain't no days off. We never miss. Make sure y'all go and subscribe to Kojak's channel. I love him. That's my guy. Been knowing Kojak since high school. Also, Gab, Light Too Bright with another super sticker. Thank you. Krista Jackson says, happy Thanksgiving. So thankful for your content at my sister's house and turned her and her husband into your channel growth all 2025. Shout out to husband and sister. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all gonna absolutely enjoy the best morning show on the face of the earth. Give thanks to the Lord for he is good, says Randy K. Love endures forever. Happy Thanksgiving to the Daniels family in the chat. Did everyone get their workout today? Hashtag no days off. Shout out to Randy. We appreciate you. Marlo says, good morning, big dog. Good morning, Marlo. And shout out to my dog, Gab, for another super sticker. Says, thanks, written on top of the Purple Heart. I appreciate you, Gab. Y'all ready to get started to the show? Because guess what? We not having no condensed show today. Tune in for the next 2 hours. Send this to your friends and family. Hit a like for the algorithm. If you've been here more than once, then make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. And then more importantly, we have a full show for y'all today. So we're going to go over Trump's tariffs, what's happening over in Mexico. We're going to get the Canadian side. I also want to make sure that we address Kamala Harris's top campaign staff and them describing what went wrong. Joe Rogan also said that the Democrats almost had him on their side. Black people are responding to the diversity, equity, and inclusion that's been eliminated at Walmart and other companies and stores. And then we also gonna get to quick hits. All right, so let's gear up. Let's get to it. I'm gonna continue to read the super chats throughout the show. Thank you to everybody that support us, and let's get rocking. All right, so first things first, quick hits. Quick hits is a segment of the show that we don't necessarily think that we need to dedicate an entire segment to each individual thing, but we definitely want to keep y'all in the loop on what's going on out in these streets. All right, so first things first, an aspiring TikToker is found dead in the woods. Check it out.
We have breaking news tonight out of Clayton County.
An aspiring TikTok star that we told you was reported missing has now been found dead. Clayton police had searched for Jair Snyder around where they tracked his phone. Fox 5's Joy Dukes has followed this case. She's joining us live at the scene. Joy, just not the outcome his loved ones were hoping for.
Yeah, good evening to you both. This is certainly not the news that we wanted to report, but unfortunately just in the last hour here, Clayton County police have confirmed that the body that they found here off of Brown Road in Jonesboro is in fact Jair Snyder. Now take a look behind me. You can see the tree line here. Snyder, we knew, as what we reported yesterday, was last seen in this area. He was at a nightclub, Rumors nightclub, and apparently had borrowed a friend's car. Well, family members say that they tracked his location all the way to Brown Road, about 25 minutes away from that nightclub, and that they called police earlier today around 1 p.m. Police came out, and sure enough, they found the car in this wooded area. Now, so far, police telling us that it was so deep in this wooded area that it's very likely that he was traveling at a high rate of speed here. They had the intersection here blocked off for a few hours as they worked to pull that car out of that wooded area and also pull his body out, and that's when they were again able to confirm his identity. Now, we know that his family members have been extremely concerned about this just for the last 10 days. They say November 15th was the last time anyone had heard or seen him. Here's what police are saying about this. Obviously, the timing of this is all the more heartbreaking just before Thanksgiving.
It's always tragic when we lose a citizen or anybody passing through our county. Clayton County is committed to working hard with our local agencies to locate any of our missing people and try to give a peaceful resolution to any of the families that are out here looking for their individuals or experiencing anything in our area. So we give our sincerest, heartfelt condolences to the family that when we found him, it was in these circumstances.
Uh, Anybody that remembers, because a lot of y'all are new, but a lot of y'all are OGs, so we got a mixture of people here. Anybody that remembers why I started Fight Club in the first place? Is anybody here remember why I started Fight Club in the first place? Well, let me bring you up to speed for those of y'all that may be new. I used to have a channel called Fight Club that then turned into After Hours. So the current iteration of After Hours is the result of Fight Club. Initially, Fight Club started on the Anton Daniels channel, right? When I first started Fight Club, it was a spirit of moment conversation that I was having here on the Millionaire Morning Show. And I felt something about people or somebody crashing out and something bad happening to people around this exact same time Thanksgiving, because I know that a lot of people are home, a lot of people are going to strip clubs, people are going to bars. It's one of the biggest drinking days of the year. And so what I did was I said, hey, y'all, let me incentivize y'all to stay home and let's just argue over the internet. I'm going to be up working late at night because I'm a workaholic and I like to create content and I like to take care of business. So everybody just come up and then y'all can give y'all thoughts. It then turned into something organic. We created its own channel. Fight Club then eventually went away because, you know, it had ran its course in my opinion, but it spawned a lot of great content, a lot of great channels, a lot of great content creators. People then got their bars up as far as their ability to be able to debate and negotiate and stuff like that. But I started Fight Club. The initial start of Fight Club was for people to stay home and not find themselves in a negative situation. So, with that being said, I will say this again. Make sure y'all tune in to After Hours tonight. And it's cool to have fun, but it's better to be safe. So if at any point you believe that you are going to be in a position that it's going to compromise your safety, don't think twice, don't go against it. Always follow your instincts and then follow your I like to call it, what's the best way for it? Because I don't want to go fully spiritual on y'all. Follow your discernment. Pray for discernment. Pray for being around the right people, because it could be somebody else that crash out as a result of it. So condolences to this man's family. I hate to hear that people so young crash out and then they get found in the woods. But in addition to that, somebody else crashed out voluntarily on an LAX bound flight. Somebody was a disruptive passenger.
A man goes on a violent tirade on a United flight to LAX. Tonight, why there's much more to this story and how the passenger who shot this video and restrained the man could turn out to be his guardian angel.
KCAL's Leslie Maring is at LAX with the unusual events that happened after the plane landed. Leslie.
Yeah, Juan, Susie, we never really know who we're sitting next to on a flight, but this proves this passenger was in the right seat at the right time. He tells us not only was he able to stop this situation from getting any worse, but now he's helping that man get the help he may really need. This is what Gino Golafaro woke up to on a United flight from Austin to LAX.
I proceeded to take the video, and I watched the flight attendant walk back 2 times, and I watched nobody do anything. So I got up to restrain him.
We don't see the moment the man is restrained, but a photo shows him afterward. You can see him with his hands behind his back, restrained to the seat by seatbelts. Golafaro explained to us how he was able to stop the man's violent outburst.
From the back with a choke. After I restrained him, 2 other bystanders that were on the flight had already gotten zip ties from the flight attendant. So we proceeded to zip tie his hands and his feet and then seatbelt him to the.
So I want to make sure that, and I know this is completely off subject, but it just came to me. I want to make sure that women understand that you always gonna need men. It ain't nothing like being in the air and having somebody going crazy and kicking a seat and looking for attention that should now be banned from ever flying again. It should be on a no-fly list. I want to hear all the women tell us how they don't need men anymore. How would y'all have been able to stop that? How would y'all have been able to stop that? I want to make sure that all the women tell us how y'all don't need men, because it's 1,000 different scenarios that could play out just like this. He gonna be putting them New Balances right on the middle of your chest. Tell us how you don't need us no more. Meanwhile, he getting choked up and putting in zip ties and sitting. He gonna sit quietly for the rest of that flight until they can get him on the no-fly list. But I don't want to hear nobody say that y'all don't need men no more. You need us more than ever before.
See.
United tells us the incident happened on November 16th with 75 other people on board. The man was arrested once the flight landed, and United says he is banned from any future flights on its airline.
He need to be banned on all flights.
Says his interaction with the man didn't end on the tarmac.
I've been fortunate enough to talk to his mother, and she reached out to let me know kind of what induced that psychosis, which was meth.
What the man didn't know at the
Jesus
time
Christ.
is that Galafro is the CEO of a substance abuse intervention center.
Yeah, that's nice. Listen, dude was going off meth and that room 9. And that's unfortunate. But last but not least, shout out to everybody that's on the no-fly list. FedEx is saying that they laying off 300 people by the holidays.
7:04 now, and another Mid-South employer laying off workers. FedEx laying off hundreds this time around, but the company says it's a small number.
I guess it's a small percentage of their 30,000 employees here in the Mid-South, but Fox 13 Sheila O'Connor joining us live from East Memphis. We've gotten some numbers, and it is a pretty good size number when it's affecting lives. What are you hearing on this?
Memphis,
multiple sources have told Fox 13 that FedEx is laying off about 300 employees. Of course, that announcement just coming down yesterday. Now, what positions exactly are being cut, that hasn't been announced, so that's what Fox 13 is working to get. But multiple sources, again, have told us that 300 people are losing their jobs. FedEx, one of the largest, if not the largest employer in the Mid-South, announcing those layoffs yesterday. Now, when the company announced the layoffs, they said they were laying off a small number of positions as the company, quote, streamline and realigns functions. Now, of course, layoffs with a billion-dollar company, they're not uncommon. Back in March, the company announced layoffs and another 300.
That's how they do their assembly lines. Amazon is way more efficient. Amazon got a whole fleet of robots to handle that.
Employees laid off during that announcement. Then in June, the company announced up to 2,000 layoffs in Europe as part of the company's cost-cutting efforts. Now, for this latest round of layoffs, in a statement to Fox 13, FedEx says, quote, decisions of this nature are never made lightly and the result of much thought and consideration for the needs of our business. We are actively working with those affected by these changes to ensure they have the support they need during this transition.
Listen, again, I tell y'all regularly, do not put your faith into a company. These companies don't have no loyalty to you, and neither should they. You are work for hire, and the minute that they have the opportunity to streamline operations and save, and you no longer are valuable to the company, then you're going to have to hit the unemployment line. And so I tell y'all all the time, make yourselves more valuable, get new skill sets, continue to evolve, invest in yourself, and don't put yourself in a position that would force you to be at the mercy of anybody, let alone any company. We got to run that bag up, and that's one of the reasons they call us bag chasers. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's your quick hits. All right, let me read some of these super chats, and we're going to go ahead and continue on with the show. Thankful for the breath of life. Thank you, Jesus Christ. Shout out to Amp Stars. I love that. Pretty Boy 79 says, I see Nissan is losing money fast. Yep, we got that coming tomorrow. Nissan, I heard that they got 7 months of money left. The auto industry is going to be consolidated, and the laggards, Jaguar said that they was going to take a whole year off. Nah, I ain't going to get into that. That's till tomorrow. Nissan is losing money fast. Is now a good time to buy their stocks? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do not buy Nissan stock. Happy Thanksgiving to you. You've helped me get on the right path financially. Shout out to Pretty Boy 79. Don't buy Nissan. Don't buy Nissan. Do not buy their stock. Shout out to Artifacts. I appreciate you for rocking out with me. Bless your heart, says Shelby, for going live. I knew I could depend on you. You know I got your back, Shelby. J-Dub says, did you see Roland Martin crashing out over what RFK said about racism and black men? I did not. Send that to me. Young Reckless says, Anton, they do have men on LGBT trans gay studs. Oh, Jesus Christ. Check out Nissan 80%, 85% profit loss in the third quarter. I'm familiar with it. I already know about it. Come on, you know I know about what's happening in the auto industry. Y'all can't get nothing past me. All right, let's continue to rock out. Let's go ahead and get to the first story of the show. So before we go into what went wrong with the Kamala Harris campaign, let's talk about the tariffs over in Mexico, Canada, and China. All right. So I've been staying on top of this like I always am because I never just do one story. I like to follow things so that I can give the full context, understand what the storylines are, and then hopefully add value into your life. And then we figure out where it comes back down to the money, right? So whereas every other network is just casually reporting the tariffs and they just reporting whatever the AP is giving to them or whatever Reuters is giving to them, I'm following this thing all the way through to the end, right? We're going to follow Trump's entire presidency and we're going to report the good, the bad, the indifferent. And I also want to hopefully educate you guys on more than just what they promote to you during the national election, okay? So recently Trump has said that he's going to implement tariffs. For those of you that are new here, he's going to implement tariffs starting with China, Mexico, and Canada, okay? So this is what I think the strategy is before we get into exactly what the response is from the Mexican president and all of that, right? The strategy A is to clamp down on China, trying to take over American manufacturing and eliminate jobs, okay? That's the first strategy because China has been trying to circumvent tariffs and unfair trade practices and a trade deficit by then building factories in Mexico because Trump renegotiated the North American Free Trade Agreement when he was in office the first time. So what that means is China makes the products, and similarly to what happens when they build a assembly plant here in the United States of America, they don't necessarily make the parts here, but they ship all of the parts in that they made all over the world, and then they assemble it here in the United States of America. So sometimes you can look at the box, you can look at Apple products, you can look at this thing, the sheet, right? Whatever the sheet is that you go when you buy your car is, most of the time they'll have on there this assembled in America or assembled in this country, 93% of the parts made here, 7% of the parts made there. And so most things are assembled here in America, but it's not necessarily made here in America. And that's how they get you. That's how they market to you, okay? And so what China tried to do is they took all of the capital investment from both being subsidized by their country and then outside investors like Warren Buffett. And then they said, oh, you know what? We're going to take companies like BYD and furniture makers and all of this stuff. We're going to build plants in Mexico, assemble it there, and then ship it straight into the United States of America to forego building plants and building jobs inside of the United States themselves. So instead of them participating in the economy, they want to always be slick, always circumvent it, and then say, well, we're just going to build in Mexico and ship it up there because we don't actually want to pay the price to play in the United States of America. But Trump said, no, we're not doing that. So either you build here in the United States of America, or you don't do business at all, or you can catch these tariffs because we're not going to throw away American jobs anymore. We're not going to forego our future, our children's future, to make a quick buck and then try to save a couple dollars that you just going to go and spend on OnlyFans in the first place. All right. So the goal was not only to slap tariffs on China, but also to slap tariffs on Mexico. But then they can't leave out Canada. Why? Because you can't have a disproportionate amount of bias towards Mexico and not include Canada, right? So Canada got to get this work too, because not only are illegal migrants coming in through Canada, and they are a lot more secure with their borders. Absolutely they are. I'm right on a border city for Canada in Detroit, but Canada got to get the work too. And so they kind of, just because they're part of the North American Free Trade Agreement, because they are our neighbors also, they have to participate in this whole tariff war, right? And so in order to get a gain and leverage, and Trump talks about this in his book, he said, listen, we're going to put tariffs on everybody on day one. And one of the requirements is that we got to stop the flow of drugs into this country from Mexico. On top of that, on top of China trying to trick us. And we have to make sure that we stop this migrant crisis. So we're not just going to be deporting people over here, because that's after the situation happens. What we also going to do is we gonna force you to not let them use your country as an opportunity to be able to get over into the United States of America. So either get your stuff together or you're gonna pay the price. And guess what? Almost 85, if not close to 90% of all business that's done in Mexico is done as far as a benefit from the United States of America's niceties. It's done as a result of what we do for them. And so when you then give them the leverage, what do they have to do? They got to comply to your demands, which is why I don't understand why the Biden administration and Kamala Harris has been letting this go on for so long, unless they was getting their own pockets lined by it. I don't know. But this was Claudia Sheinbaum's initial statement towards Trump saying that he wanted to have tariffs against Mexico if they don't start to get their stuff together. Check it out.
Out of the reaction to President-elect Trump's threat to hit Canada and Mexico with tariffs on day one of his new administration. Two countries are pushing back.
Y'all hit a like for the algorithm. This is too great. We deep dive in too much. We give y'all too much insight in addition to reporting the news. We give y'all too much understanding, and we break this down all the way to a C student's perspective so that when you go to Thanksgiving dinner today, you can sit there and tell them and explain to them clearly why it's important for them to look at it the way that you see it instead of them going based off of what's marketed to them based off of identity politics. So make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. If you've been here more than once, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Let's continue.
Mexico's president is warning that her country could retaliate against the U.S. with tariffs of its own. Chief Business Correspondent Rebecca Jarvis here with the story. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning to you, George. Nice to see you guys. And he is threatening Mexico and Canada with those tariffs unless they crack down on the flow of migrants and drugs. They are pushing back, but it is American consumers who could end up paying the biggest price. This morning, President-elect Trump's threat to impose tariffs on America's neighbors already prompting a growing fight with Mexico and Canada. Mexico's new president threatening to retaliate with tariffs of their own if Trump follows through on his pledge to impose 25% across-the-board tariffs on both countries, potentially sparking a devastating trade war. No es aceptable. Mexico's president says tariffs are not acceptable and it would cause inflation and job losses in the U.S. and Mexico. Adding later, Mexico respects Trump, but we also ask respect for ourselves. To the north, in Canada, an emergency session of Parliament where Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who's had a rocky relationship with Trump, is trying to calm nerves, speaking to Trump within hours of him posting his threat Monday night.
What we will do. And I am going to go over that in the next segment. I want to focus specifically on Canada because I don't think that our Canadian neighbors get as much visibility as they should. But I'm really getting entertained by Canadian politics. So international politics is very much entertaining, just as entertaining as it is here in the United States of America. But we're going to get into that. So the Mexican president, recently elected, first female president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, then says, no. We're going to show a sign of strength, right? We're going to show a sign of strength. We're not going to let you guys bully us. And then immediately she got on the phone. So this is what Trump just yesterday, just last night, reported happened between him as far as the phone call. Now, you would think, before I even play this, you would think that this is something that Biden is handling, that Kamala Harris wouldn't still be on vacation in Hawaii getting drunk. And that she, as a person that is supposed to be the go-between on international relations and the border czar, would be handling, getting her reps up, becoming more familiar with international relations and diplomacy, that Biden would be making his phone call with Claudia Sheinbaum. But wait a minute, you telling me that Trump is really the acting president less than 54 days before he enters into office, that Trump is the one that is brokering deals, the art of the deal, that Trump is the one that is actually getting things done inside of the United States of America before he's even taken a position. So before he gets inaugurated on January 20th, that Trump is the one that is taking phone calls with Canada, China, Mexico, Russia, Zelensky over in Ukraine, and he's the one that's fixing the economy so that he can deliver on his promise on day one to ultimately do exactly what he did and what he promised on the campaign trail. Ain't that crazy? We're not even in 2025 yet, and Trump is already taking phone calls and fixing the border. But this is what Trump has recently said about the wonderful conversation that he had with Claudia Sheinbaum.
Welcome back, everyone. Here to Live Now from Fox, coming on with some breaking news here for you. Well, we just learned through Donald Trump on his Truth Social. Take a look at.
She did not call him a liar this morning. That is false. I did my research. Darren Walker, I know who you are, and I know exactly what your goals are because I've had a conversation with you before. She did not call him a liar at all. I did my research. Don't listen to what CNN is telling you because I had to go and I researched it and I found out exactly what CNN was saying. But that's not what she said. So they spend it in order to be able to have a conversation amongst each other, and that's not what happened. But this is what Trump said on Truth Social as a result, and he said that they had a conversation, and this is what's going on.
He just said he had a wonderful conversation with the new president of Mexico. She has agreed to stop migration through Mexico and into the United States, effectively closing our southern border. We also talked about what can be done to stop the massive drug inflow into the United States and also U.S. consumption of these drugs. It was a very productive conversation. Now, this has been something in the works for quite some time.
This is why you can't trust traditional media. We use it as the trampoline to have these conversations, to have a reference point, but we don't depend on it to be able to justify what we're reporting in the news. And this is why the Millionaire Morning Show is different from what you see out there as far as what Reuters and the AP and all of these conglomerates are putting out there in the media. I don't go by what other people say. I look at it and then I go and do my own research. And before we ever have this show, then I start to use it as a reference point and then I give my own opinion. That's the difference between me and everybody else. And that's why we the greatest morning show on earth.
We know that Donald Trump has campaigned on this issue, talking about as soon as he would get in, he would try to implement tariffs, not only to Mexico, but to China and Canada. And earlier this week, he put out that message saying that he would. Now, Canada is already examining possible retaliatory tariffs on certain items from the United States should President-elect Donald Trump follow through on his threats to impose sweeping tariffs on Canadian products, a senior official said today. Trump has threatened to impose tariffs on products from Canada and Mexico if the countries don't stop what he called the flow of drugs and migrants across the southern and northern borders there. So this has obviously been a campaign issue, not only in this cycle for President-elect Trump, but going all the way back to 2015, if you remember. And even before 2015, Donald Trump has been talking about tariffs and the need for putting it on countries that are what he calls not following the direct orders or law of the United States here. So this has been something that has been building up for quite some time. He did the tariffs in round one of his presidency. We will see if on January 20th, like he said earlier this week, that he would do. But given from this conversation now that he posted on his Truth Social, just getting off the phone there with the president of Mexico, in his words, she has agreed to stop migration through Mexico and into the United States, effectively closing our southern border. We also talked about what can be done to stop the massive drug inflow into the United States and also U.S. consumption of these drugs. It was a
So now let me give you the full context, Darren, because I actually anticipated somebody like you saying that. So CNN goes on to say, no, Trump is a liar. She said that she never talked to him. Trump is, matter of fact, let me pull it up. I'm going to pull it up for you because I want to actually use it as a reference point, okay? Give me a second. Give me a second. I'm going to pull it up for you specifically because I want us to be very, very clear. And I anticipate. Give me a second. Let me find it. I want to pull it up. No need in debating it. We just going to go ahead and say it. So this is what CNN then reports.
Dispute between the president-elect of the U.S. and Mexico's president over a phone call. Who agreed to what and what it may mean for the U.S.-Mexico relationship. Donald Trump brought out some of his best words, for example, wonderful, to describe a conversation with Mexico's Claudia Sheinbaum, ending his Truth Social post by claiming she agreed to, quote, stop migration through Mexico and into the United States. Sheinbaum actually just responded moments ago, and the short version is never, no, not one.
Hold on, let me rewind what she just said.
Actually just responded migration through Mexico and into the United States. Sheinbaum actually just responded moments ago, and the short version is never, no, not once, did she say anything of the kind.
This is why you have to be careful with what your sources are, and you got to do your own research. Let me play it one more time for what CNN just said, okay?
And into the United States. Sheinbaum actually just responded moments ago, and the short version is never, no, not once, did she say anything of the kind.
Cool. Interesting. So I go out and I said, okay, well, did she say that? Did they have a conversation? Because she's saying that, where CNN is reporting at least, that Sheinbaum said that they didn't have a conversation at all. Did not have a conversation. Okay, so I go on Truth, not on Truth Social, because that's not what she was on. I go on to X, okay? And I go to Claudia Sheinbaum's X account, because guess what? They all are on Elon Musk's platform. And I say, okay, well, let me look at it and let me also get the translation. In our conversation with President Trump, that's the first thing that she says. In our conversation with President Trump, I explained to him the comprehensive strategy that Mexico has followed to address the migration phenomenon respecting human rights. So wait a minute. CNN said that he's a liar. She goes on to X and said that she just had a conversation with Trump, and this was at 8:34 p.m. last night. Thanks to this, migrants and caravans are assisted before they reach the border. The goal isn't to close the border, but to build bridges between governments and between peoples. So wait a minute. Why is CNN trying to spin this? Because again, I anticipated you saying that, or for somebody to say that. Why is CNN trying to spin this to act like he lied about the fact that he spoke with her and discussed with her the fact that they need to get to these migrants before they reach the United States of America border, and then stop this migrant caravan from coming over there? Now, I understand that Mexico still have to pretend like they got some level of strength and they can determine what happens. Of course they're supposed to. They're not supposed to just kowtow and say, you know what, he told us what to do and we did it. But why is CNN spinning this? And this is one of the reasons why they're getting laid off. This is why people don't trust the regular news anymore, and why it's important for us to be mindful of what we take in, because it's not just what some woman that got short hair is saying because she mad at the fact that Kamala Harris lost the election. It's important for us to just get the facts, report on the facts, and then give our opinion from what we see is being shown. So if Trump says something, and then Claudia Sheinbaum in Mexico says something, and then CNN reports on it, I then go do the research and find out what the truth is, report it to you from both sides, and then give my opinion on what makes sense. That's the difference. That's exactly what the difference is. So again, this is why I like to participate with the chat, because I want y'all to start paying attention to what these people are saying. And I want you to understand how CNN is spinning this. Let me play it for y'all again, exactly what she said on CNN, to try to make it seem like it didn't happen the way that he's saying that it happened. I'm going to play it for y'all again, and then I want y'all to come to the conclusion of whether or not she called him a liar, okay? Let me go ahead and play it again. Exactly what she said, how she let out.
Dispute between the president-elect of the U.S. and Mexico's president over a phone call. who agreed to what and what it may mean for the U.S.-Mexico relationship. Donald Trump brought out some of his best words, for example, wonderful, to describe a conversation with Mexico's Claudia Sheinbaum, ending his Truth Social post by claiming she agreed to, quote, stop migration through Mexico and into the United States. Sheinbaum actually just responded moments ago, and the short version is never, no, not once, did she say anything of the kind.
And then they try to get away with it by lying, by saying, well, the short version, no, say what I'm taking it to mean, which is not necessarily what she said, but this is my opinion of it. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, yeah, man. But let me just share with y'all. Well, I don't think it's necessary to go any deeper into that. That is what happened. Obviously, I believe my biggest takeaway from this whole situation is that I believe that it's important for us to learn a lesson. A, that we got to do our own research. B, we got to understand the difference between a spin and the truth. And then C, I believe that it's important to realize that this administration that's currently in office, Biden and Kamala Harris, has been so incompetent that they didn't even start negotiations with Mexico at all. They haven't even made any requirements at all. They just been running migrants over into the border the entire time. And so that's the thing that we really should be questioning. All right, let's continue on into the show, and I'm going to read some of these super chats, and then we're going to go ahead and rock out with the next thing because I want to go into Canada's side of it, all right? Jay Hunter Lee says she was talking all that now she bending the knee. They all bend the knee eventually. They all have to bend the knee. Hello, sir. Today is my dad's birthday. A fellow bag chaser. He turns 48 today. Says Bon Jour. Happy birthday, Mr. Warren. I love you, sir. From your best daughter. Oh, that is so dope. Hey, hold on. Mr. Warren. Happy birthday, big dog. Your daughter loves you. It's nothing like the love of a daughter for a father. I love that. Congratulations. Let me go ahead and give you a round of applause for that one. You must have raised a good one. JB goes on to say, my God, don't stop. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family and all of the bag chasers. Shout out to JB. Zach then says, all Trump have to do is slap a tax on that money Mexicans send it back to Mexico tax-free. That's a fact. Shout out to AR Smitty. I appreciate you for the big dog. Big dog. I can explain till I'm blue in the face, AD, just like your family. They won't listen. It's all right. We got to be the examples. They listen and they pay attention. They just don't want to admit it. As a Canadian, I support the tariffs. Our politicians are scrambling. It's the kick in the A. They need it. Holla if you need a Canadian correspondent. Shout out to my dog, K Dizzle. Mark the Guardian says, happy Thanksgiving. Do you think Kamala will serve greens out of her tub on this holiday? She drunk in Hawaii. I don't blame her either. She getting toasted. I think most people overestimate China way too much. I do too. I agree. What a shame nothing done the past 4 years, and a happy Turkey Day. Happy Thanksgiving to all of my friends and family. I hope y'all having a phenomenal day. Let me continue to entertain y'all. And let me also let y'all know that After Hours, we will be streaming on After Hours. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon on the 1st of the month and then get your tickets to see me December 14th in Detroit. Let's continue on with this show. Canada. So we want to get it from the Canadian side, all right? So on Canada, they are facing supreme opposition, and they are scrambling. Hey, Rita's over here on the floor, y'all. Let me show her to y'all. No. Rita's trying not to get seen from the cameras. Oh, you really needed to get that honey. Okay, I see you. Anyways, Canada, they are just as entertaining as here over in the United States of the Americas. And they are fighting. They fighting because they told you they do more trade with the United States of America than all of the rest of the countries combined. And they have a conservative leadership that is trying to upend what the current establishment is. And they have a more liberal leadership that is the current incumbents that's trying to preserve power inside of Canada. And so it's the same thing that was happening over here in the United States of America. You had Biden and Kamala Harris running the thing in the ground, and then you had Trump and MAGA saying that we need to go back to who we were in order to make this country great again. And so you have the guy on the left that is more conservative, and then the guy on the right that I believe is more liberal that is in the current administration, and they having a big situation. And I think that it's all because Trump won presidency, and he's saying y'all got to get y'all stuff together too. So this is what happened on the floor, and that these two men were trading jabs over Trump's tariffs. Check it out.
Canadians face an unprecedented threat from President Trump's potential tariffs. And what is the state of things here in Canada? Our economy is weakened. Our borders are weakened. Our military is weakened. And most of all, our Prime Minister is weakened. Why can't we have a carbon tax election so Canadians can choose a leader with the brains and backbone to protect our economy and put Canada first?
I didn't know that Canada politics was so exciting. They get engaged. Now, we go over in our Congress and our legislative branches, and they be all dry and saying crazy stuff, and you got Jasmine Crockett out there doing all kind of gymnastics. She don't want to be accountable for the fact that she was supporting the Divine Nine and Kamala Harris to become president of the United States of America, but they be dry in our legislative meetings. I think they be showing it on PBS or something. But over in Canada, they engaged. They engaged. So that was the conservative opposition, and this was the response.
The Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Speaker, while the Leader of the Opposition focuses on himself and on me, we're staying focused on Canadians. We're investing in the kinds of things that are going to help people. We stood up for dental care. We stood up to deliver a school foods program. We're moving forward with more spaces at $10 a day childcare, all things that the Conservative Party voted against. But most recently, Mr. Speaker, they've announced they're going to be voting against the GST break for Canadians over the next couple of months. Something that's going to help people at a time where they need that little extra help. But he doesn't care about helping Canadians. He just wants them to suffer more. So maybe he has a chance.
Do they got a time limit on how often they speak? Do they got a time limit? Because they get straight to it. It'd be less than 30 seconds, 35 seconds. They get their thing off, and then they go back and forth.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he's lost control of our borders. He's lost control of immigration.
So chill.
He's lost control of spending.
That's right.
And with that erratic performance, we now see that he's lost control of himself. No wonder foreign leaders believe they can walk all over him. They see him as a weak, incompetent leader who does not even have the support of his own party.
Yes.
Why won't he put the country first for a change, allow a carbon tax election so Canadians can have a prime minister who will protect this country?
They lit over there.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
You can tell he stood up all night against the mirror trying to practice that line. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, we've got our sleeves rolled up. We are fighting for Canadians every single day. We will stand up for good Canadian jobs. We will make sure we continue to have great relations with the United States as we build a stronger future on both sides of the border. We're going to continue to deliver the kinds of things that matter for Canadians. Dental care, free insulin, school food programs, all programs that Conservatives voted against, and now they're going to vote against a GST break for Canadians right across the country for the next few months. That's not being there for Canadians, that's being there for himself.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Just to prove how weak and out of control he's become, he just engaged in a mass hallucination, listing off a bunch of programs that actually don't even exist outside of his own head. But if he's not prepared to stand up for the country when it comes to trade, then why don't we have a real election about taxes? He can run on his tiny 2-month tax trick, and I'll run on my common sense plan to axe the tax and axe the sales tax on new homes. How about a carbon tax election now?
Hey, this is kind of lit. I can't even lie. I kind of like watching this.
The Right Honorable Prime Minister.
We saw it perfectly clearly just now, the fact that he is trying to gaslight Canadians.
Oh, they use gaslight too. They use the word gaslight too.
Just said that the dental care program, to pick one, doesn't even exist. Well, tell that to the 1 million plus Canadians who've gone to see the dentist, many for the first time in years, because of the Canada Dental Care benefit. This is what he's standing against. He's trying to convince Canadians that everything's broken while he forces his MPs to vote against a GST break that's going to help Canadians over the coming months. That's not leadership. That's pandering to the lowest common denominator.
So I tend to not meddle in international politics from the perspective of telling people how they should run their country. Well, why? Why don't I care about how they should run their country? Because I'm all about America first. Now, if other countries benefit as a result of it, cool. I tend to believe, based off of the news reports, that Trump would prefer to deal with a more conservative leader that also espouses his same values for America as they do for Canada. Why? Because it would be beneficial for both if they aligned, and then you got a Canadian leader that said, hey, we need to have stronger borders, which also plays into what's best for the United States of America. Instead of pandering with 2-month programs and stuff like that, hey, listen, do what y'all want to do when y'all want to do it. But if you want to make sure that you continue to benefit off the American economy and American trade, and you don't want a trade deficit and you don't want your economy in shambles, then you're going to have to acquiesce over to whatever our demands is and get your borders in control. Now, the key is I'm starting to like this guy, this conservative leader. I don't know his name specifically as far as how to pronounce it or enunciate it, but I'm starting to like this guy. Again, I don't really care about how they feel about what goes on in their country. What I care about is whether or not they're doing what they're supposed to do to protect American borders, because what happens over on their side ultimately affects what happens over in the United States of America. And this is why other countries, and I find it ironic that we have such a situation where other countries pay more attention to what happens with our election than we do. We have people over here, and then we're going to get to Kamala Harris next. We have people over here in the United States of America, and tell me if you heard this one. Oh, man, our vote don't count. Oh, man, it don't really matter what happens in the election. Oh, man, you know what? I don't even know who running in the local election. I'm not even sure who my Congress member is. Oh, man, it really don't matter, this and that and this and that. So you got people that don't even have the ability to vote in our election that is affected by what happens on the American side, hoping, wishing, praying, paying attention to what happens in our election. But then we have people that won't even engage in the election process to determine what happens with their tax dollars that they involuntarily pay into the federal and the local governments, and they won't even participate. So you got to pay your taxes and you don't even get a say in what happens. For everybody that didn't vote, we need to, I think that there's a public record of whether or not people voted. I don't think that it shows who you voted for, but it shows if you voted. For everybody that has the ability to vote but chose not to vote, I think that we should disclude them and then knock them down a notch from their voice actually having any meaning in some of these conversations that we having, unless they actually participated in the election process, because it is important. And they just proved it. Our neighbors on the Mexican side and the Canadian side just proved how important elections are and why we need to be informed and engaged on both the local level and the international level. So on the Canadian side, they struggling, they fighting. They paid attention to what happened in this election. They know what's going to come on January 20th. They understand the threat of tariffs coming if they don't get themselves together. And instead of the liberal leader and prime minister paying attention and making adjustments, they're over there pandering, and they're doing the same thing that they were doing over in our election on the Democratic side. So that's what's happening over in Canada. in their election. I think that it's absolutely entertaining, and I'll keep you guys informed on what's going on with international relations. Let me read some of these super chats, and then we're going to continue over with the show. Forsaken Archive says, I wish you a happy Thanksgiving and thank you for all that you do, seen and unseen. Shout out to Forsaken Archives. Happy Thanksgiving to you too also, and thank you for being a part of the crew. Chase Barnes says, happy Thanksgiving, AD and peeps. I see you got the microphone today. Thank you. You sound better on the mic. A true pro. Well, I got all of my microphones down at the studio, but I decided to bring one of them out here and to just throw it on the stand. That way we could be able to have a better show. Listen, if I'm going to be out the studio for a while, then I got to give you all a better quality product. I'm not about to let Carrie out here show me up. You know what I'm saying, Chase Barnes? A.R. Smitty says he lost control of himself. That's bars. That was bars. He did hit him on that one. KG Hacks in the building says the heckling is crazy work. Demetrius 100,900,000 says, what up? What up? What up? What up, Demetrius? I appreciate you. What up, though, fam? 24 says, what up, though, Anton and everybody in the chat. Happy Kamala Harris, a.k.a. Turkey Net Thanksgiving. Shout out to you. I appreciate you, and thank you to everybody that supports the platform. Speaking of Kamala Harris, and thank you for those super chats. I appreciate y'all for continuing to rock with us. Speaking of Kamala Harris, let's talk about her for a minute, right? And I don't want to go over her drunken rant yesterday, but I do want to share with you guys some of the videos, because there's a lot of campaign staffers and there's a lot of top staff members that are doing podcasts, making sure that they get their visibility, and they're having conversations about what went wrong this election season and what was the learned lessons, okay? So I want to deep dive into that a little bit, and I want to have that conversation with you guys. This was a whole podcast that they were on. I want to go over to the final parts of the podcast. Actually, I want to skim through because there's some parts that I didn't watch. And then hopefully we can learn something from this, and they teach us what they've learned and how they're going to make adjustments instead of having a civil war within the Democratic Party. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel. Let's see what they got to say. Let's go to, because I got timestamps in here. Okay, so let's talk about this. How the money was spent in the Harris campaign. Let's start here.
So don't miss money very quickly. You made huge investments in linear television. You made largest investment ever in digital. You did a huge field operation. In the post-election analysis, there has been, even from some folks, anonymously at least, inside the campaign, some critique of some of the spending decisions around things like the set for Call Her Daddy, this, renting the Sphere, that sort of stuff. Can you talk a little bit? I'd love to hear you respond to those criticisms, and then maybe give, just want to get clarity on the point is that when do you think when you guys have done all the books, that whether the DNC will be in debt at the end of this race?
So, first of all, I think it was an extraordinary testament to the vice president to have the kind of grassroots support that she had, and built on the foundation of the list and the support that President Biden had and had built, and we cultivated over years. We had some unique things that we had to do in this race that I think were really critical to do early, and spent a lot of resources at an earlier stage than we would have traditionally.
Is that ads?
But also the field program. I mean, we had massive investment of staff, 3,000 staff, hundreds and hundreds of offices in battleground states. We had canvassers and people out knocking doors.
And that's that's pre-Kamala Harris too, or is it?
Yeah, we 100% started at pre-Kamala Harris, and we've been building for it the entire campaign. But we really had to take it into hyperdrive because we had so much work that we had to do. We knew that we couldn't just reach people with one medium, and we had to make sure we were maximizing it. And we had to really move up spend when we're announcing the vice president as the new nominee. We are, a couple weeks later announcing a running mate. We are, building out who is she standing for, all the things we've been talking about. And so those things cost a lot of resources, especially when you're running 7 states. There was different opportunities for us to look at the battleground map and to say, is anything moving away from us? And we saw up until the very end that there was so much, every single state was in such a margin of error. There was nothing that told us we couldn't play in one of these states. And we needed to ensure with Pennsylvania, which was our toughest of the blue walls from the beginning where we were tied. What's the alternative to make up those electoral votes? So
at what point, and this is the question that I have, at what point do y'all think that she was ever tied with Trump? Biden or her? At what point do y'all ever think that they were tied with Trump? In any battleground state? Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada. At what point do y'all think that she was ever tied in any Georgia, in any of these battleground states? She was never in the race. She was never in the race. I don't know where their polling data was. I could tell you just from talking to people and being on the ground and traveling to different places that that was never a sentiment. That was never a thing. It was only a thing in the Black community. It was never a thing internationally.
We ran a very wide map in other races that some of us have worked on together. We had to, move off of states. That was not actually part of our plan. And then we had to reach very hard to find voters. So we were trying to, yes, spend more resources on digital, not for the sake of that, but because we're trying to find young people. We're trying to find these lower propensity voters that were tuned out to politics. So much of the electorate, pre-Vice President Harris and post, had opted out of political engagement, had opted out of wanting to talk through or hear the kind of partisan environment. So we had to work extremely hard to find them. And
here's the key, though. Are y'all listening to what she's saying? She said they had to work to find voters. And this is the thing that obviously shows you that there's a difference between a conservative and a liberal party. The liberal party has become so liberal and so left-leaning that they've alienated voters to where they basically pushed traditional Democrats over to being or identifying and voting for Republicans. Now, what does that mean? That means that as we get older, we battle within ourselves to try to figure out if it makes sense to still stay in our party. And the thing that we battle against is we battle against our family. We battle against our past voting practices. We battle against our ego because we don't want to admit that we got it wrong previously in previous elections. And so instead of making excuses and then making adjustments, we battle with ourselves. But traditionally, naturally, you become more conservative as you age because you then recognize the error of your ways. People tend to be more liberal if they've been doing it for a long time because they just don't want to change and they don't like the idea that they have to throw away their racism or bias and prejudice, or B, because they're young, dumb, and ignorant. That is typically why people stay liberal. And then you have a third group of people that benefits off of being liberal because the liberals and the Democratic Party is really the party for the rich. It's a party of division. It's a party of separation. There are groups of people like the Roland Martins, the Ricky Smileys, Steve Harveys, that they run their households conservative, and they are conservative with their dollars, the Charlemagnes, but they're loyal to the Democratic Party because it pays them. And so that's why you don't see people become more liberal as they get older. They become more conservative, and they tend to move away from liberal points of view because they've always traditionally believed in conservative values. They're just starting to come to terms with it. When you make more money, as men, we don't even reach our earning potential until our late 50s, early 60s. We want to keep more of our dollars with us instead of giving it to people that don't care anything about us. We start to care about our children and our children's futures, and so we tend to vote based off of what's in the best interest of them, and we don't want people in their bathrooms that's not supposed to be in their bathrooms. We don't want open borders and immigration and for people to then change the traditional values that we work so hard to preserve because we have a vested interest in what happens for this country instead of people just walking over here and saying that we deserve the same rights as you because we here now. You tend to become more conservative as you get older. So when she's talking and she says, well, we needed to find voters, that means that we needed to get people galvanized that are ignorant to what we really believe in this party, and then to lean into that in order to try to get our people elected. So you tend to see people that are zesty, sassy, younger, and ashy participating on the liberal side, and that's why they have to engage and galvanize their voter base to participate in the election, whereas Republicans and conservatives, they tend to educate because they want you to become more informed, and then that's when the situation happened where you realize you're in the matrix. Let me fast forward towards the end where she talk about what they can learn from this outcome, okay?
Right? Trump is a unique candidate, former incumbent president. There's obviously global trends taking place.
Shout out to Ashley Harrison.
But, I think what you guys all want to do, what I want to take from this conversation is like, how do we project forward for the next races? And I think one of the bigger concerns when you look at these numbers for the future of the Democratic Party in national politics is with Latino voters, right? Based on exits, which I know are imprecise, but since 2012, they have moved 29 points to the right. Like, that is unsustainable, and the map becomes impossible. And the Senate, like a durable Senate majority, is impossible if you're losing Latino voters at that number. What did you guys see with Latinos? Because yes, like inflation is an issue here, but we also had a pretty big shift from 16 to 20. So what were you just seeing with Latino voters, and any thoughts you have on how we begin, if you have them yet, on how we begin to move back?
And before she goes into this, I always like to just give a PSA. Our moderators already know this, but I like to get this PSA for people to understand what we do over here at the Millionaire Morning Show. We don't censor people unless you become overly disrespectful, saying something that's out of pocket about a family member or something like that. We welcome people that have differences of opinion, and we welcome you to participate in the chat. And so if you are a liberal, or you just disagree with something that I say, or you disagree with something that somebody else says in the chat, feel free to speak your mind. We're not an echo chamber. You may be right. Chances are you probably wrong. And that's okay. Because again, we don't censor people. We're not only trying to kick it with people that agree with us, but we want to have a conversation with people that may disagree with us also. So my moderators are the greatest moderation group on earth. They don't censor people. They don't tell people what they can and can't do. We encourage you to engage, but we do not encourage you to A, spam the chat, B, overly be disrespectful, and then C, be mindful that this is the morning show and we got people that's in church watching this. You know what I'm saying? That's all we ask. Let's continue.
Yeah, I think this is super tough. I think we saw, as you're saying, this isn't just for 24. We saw it in 20 where, we spent so much time and resources, and I thought even in 20 did a really good job from a campaign standpoint to reach Latino voters in particular. And I think we missed the mark then. And in that instance, I think it was economic broadly, right? And that was such a conversation about COVID and then the economy. I think, we really saw in hindsight, we should have been far more on the economy and COVID kind of second. But, look, I think as you look at 24, first of all, as you well know, Latino voters are not a monolith. And in every battleground state, in every state in the country that have a cohort of Latino voters that make up the electorate, they're very different. And I think certainly the national numbers look particularly bad because they incorporate Florida and in Texas. But we also, saw a shift in this trend, as you're saying, that we have a lot of work to do. I think that it's Latino men in particular. I do think, though, the smaller shift right happened in Pennsylvania, and there's a heavy Puerto Rican community there inside of Philly, and I think obviously that was a big part of the close, and where we did see some movement to
after the Trump Madison Square Garden rally.
Exactly. So look, at the end of the day, I think a lot of this is really baked into the right track, wrong track, and the economic concerns, and I think that's fundamental. I also don't know that Latino voters are, one, again, not just monolithic, but maybe not an anomaly to other people in their communities, and they're feeling the same concerns that people have. But I think globally, with men, with Latino men in particular, obviously we talked about the work we did with African-American men. I mean, I would say African-Americans have been on the same trend line since 2008 even, where we've seen a decrease in support cycle after cycle, which we were able to hold off this time. So I think there is a lot more work to do to kind of understand this more and think about it. But I don't think it is the work of just a 107-day campaign or even a presidential campaign. And I think that's probably the biggest answer of where do we go from here on all of this. How do we ensure that people in this country see themselves in what we're selling, and that we have solutions that make sense to people, and that we can understand what they're going through, and that they see themselves reflected in those solutions. And, I think there's just a lot of work that, to me, it is never going to be, we have to make choices about one type of voter versus another, but everyone has to see, not just our brand as a party, but more importantly, our candidates as people who are providing solutions and really can make connections, and that there's a path for that. And I think the vice president, to her credit, was exceptional at this at every turn.
She goes on to talk about it a little bit more. And let me play a little bit more of this next to her black friend.
Coming out of COVID, inflation, et cetera. Trump never stopped. Trump, obviously it's important to him that he portray this very masculine, strong figure.
One thing that people don't understand about men is that when you masculine, you're just masculine. You don't have to portray it. It just oozes out of you. When you mean what you say and you say what you mean, the problem with the Democratic Party, A, is that they trying to sell you something instead of telling you the truth. B, they not authentic. And then C, they spent the majority of their time trying to emasculate. They tried to make it seem like, oh man, they want to take away your rights and all of this stuff. Being masculine has always been in style, and ain't nothing ever gonna change that. I don't care how many gay boyfriends that you get. I don't care how many of your gay friends that you think makes the most sense. Live your life and do whatever it is that you want to do. But I'm just going to tell you, at the end of the day, they could tell you that they want a partnership instead of a relationship. They could tell you that they want decision making. We can have conversations about how much that a man is supposed to pay. You can keep moving in the woman's household. But at the end of the day, when it comes back down to it, you can't go against the nature of man. You can't go against the thing that God has ordained to be good and true. The reality is this: being masculine is always and forever, 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now. I don't care how many BBLs and how many gender changes and how many identifications and pronouns that you do. You will never be able to say that masculinity is out of style. You can label it different and say, oh, it's toxic masculinity. You can put different adjectives on it. Masculinity is always and forever going to be in style. You could sit there and talk to a woman that say that she won't say so. I know for a fact that the overwhelming majority of women want a man to release them from the woes and the ills and the ways and the things that they got to go out here and battle for you for resources on. Most of them would prefer to have the option to work and do not want to have to go to work in order to keep a roof over their head. Most of them would prefer to be able to be at home, chill, get up and rise up when they want to, and don't want to have to be made to get up on that alarm clock unless they're getting their children off to school. Most of them don't want the responsibility, but they want to be nosy. They just don't want the responsibility of what bill is going where, and as long as they got that comfortability, they will give you everything. There is nothing that you can tell me at no point, whether we're talking about relationships, resources, or politics, that you are going to sit here and tell me that masculinity will never, ever, or it's going to lose style, or they have to portray us. No. That's something that you got or you don't. I don't care how many wraps you put over your breasts as a woman and try to pretend to be a man. You not me. You ain't never gonna be me. God ain't give you that gift. It just is what it is. At the end of the day, it is what it is. And masculinity, for the people out there that keep on pandering and keep saying, oh man, we got to tell a woman what she... No, listen, bro, you just got to be you. You just got to win. You focus on you, they focus on you. You focus on you, they focus on you. Why? Because you becoming great, they then become the beneficiary of your greatness. They didn't say that you were the helpmeet to her. She's the helpmeet to you. You are the one that go out and kill everything. Masculinity ain't something that you got to try to get. It's something that you are or you aren't. And so most guys need to step out, drop their balls. It's okay for you to watch football and not always have to watch the HGTV channel with her. You don't have to watch Sex in the City, dog. She gonna admire you for the fact that you want to watch some killing, shoot 'em up, put me on some Rambo and some Godfather Part 2. I'm good. I'm good. Stop thinking and stop leaning into what your mama taught you. That's the lesson that your daddy should have showed you. Your father was supposed to show you what masculinity looked like. We go out, we hunt, we're hunter-gatherers, we kill everything, we destroy everything, we build up the world, we bring in resources, and we let the women parlay around the table and make them seem like what they thinking is important. That's what we do. This Thanksgiving, the women is going to be out there thinking that it matters what we care. We gonna make them think like we care about what they think at the Thanksgiving table. Cool. At the end of the day, we about to go and watch some football, play some poker. We gonna watch some hoes on our phone occasionally. Don't worry about her. She gonna get it. She'll understand. She understands. She know that you looking at the girl that's over there. Your eyes work, don't it? You keep trying to convince her, I don't see anybody else. You a man, ain't you? You a man, ain't you? Now, the discipline that you have to execute on it is a little different. We got to teach you that lesson. Discipline is important, but you a grown man. Stop trying to hide that you a man, dog. You ain't a woman. You a man. All right? Talking about masculinity. Get out of here with that.
And so how does that show up for people? It shows up at UFC fights. It shows up with Dana White speaking at the convention. It shows up with the kind of podcasts that he's doing. It shows up in his rhetoric. And he's constantly picking a fight and showing that he's going to take something.
And when I say hoes on the phone, I'm talking about you can like an Instagram post here and she know that you looked at the chick on Instagram. That woman ain't never coming close to you. It's cool. You can look at her. She keep tripping about, oh my God, why do you be looking at these girls on Instagram? Why do you the same reason why grandpa and granddad used to look at the Playboy posters. They had Playboy, we got Instagram. That's it. You looking at the little hoes on the okay, that's true. You ain't never gonna see her before. Who cares? Granddad had Playboy. He was looking at the, you know what I'm saying? All of that. We look at Instagram. We scroll up and down. Oh, okay, cool. But ain't nobody tripping about that. I like you. You know what I'm saying? I like your big head. I like your big head at the end of the day. I looked at her. I'm coming home to you.
On. I'm not saying we mimic that. We don't want to mimic that. But we have to pay attention to why people find that appealing. And his use of TikTok and specifically reaching those younger men, I can't tell you how many friends of mine or nieces and nephews would say to me, you know, I'm getting these things from Trump all the time on TikTok. And they're not political people. They weren't signing up for that stuff, but Trump was reaching them. So there is a lot for us to learn in that. But I will also say a lot of that was very specific to that candidate, you know, in his messaging and why that was, while people were open to that messaging. We can go really deep into why, and we can go into a conversation on people thinking that Democrats are squishy and, you know, are, you know, the conversation we just had about transgender and the conversation that Republicans in the House are trying to make us have on bathrooms right now. And you know, we can talk about how we're going to get people's wages up, how we're going to, you know, create programs for people that don't go to college but still can figure out how to build their careers. How we finally, you know, address the sandwich generation, like the vice president was trying to have of.
I did a video last night that I dropped on the Anton Daniels channel, and it was of Bill Clinton, and he was having a conversation, and he was saying why. If a female ever becomes president of the United States of America, that it was going to be a conservative female. Now, why I agreed with him, that if a female was to ever become president of the United States of America, that ultimately it will probably be a female on the Republican side or on the conservative side. I'm going to just be honest with you. And again, this goes into the men being men. Listen, you could try to reach the sandwich generation, and you can talk to the alphabet community, and you can try to reach the trans people, and you can give tax dollars to give transitions inside of prison, all you want. By default, just the nature in me is that I am not the type of person to look for a woman for leadership. You could try to reach me. You could try to teach me. You can have a conversation with me. And you can try to convince me. You could try to say what Kamala Harris said and saying that I'm misogynistic if I don't vote for you. The nature of me is to not look for leadership in you. I don't call my mother to ask her for advice. I call her to ask her what she wants. I don't call my mother to ask her for advice. I call her to ask her what does she want. Me and my brothers confer on what's best for the women in the family. We take y'all concerns into consideration, and then we make decisions on what's best for you. That's just the way it is. Now, I understand that we got a new generation of people that move a little bit differently, but it is what it is. Your job is to sit there and have some fun and to go shopping. Our job is to make decisions that's best for y'all and the kids. And I know that it's a lot of people that say, oh, you old school, or, you so throwback, and, that's of a different type of generation of guy. That's cool. I am what I am. I am what I am. I don't look to women for leadership. I'm not asking you for anything. I'm asking you what you want. What are y'all looking for? What y'all need? What y'all got going on? Hey. What she need? Mom's taken care of? Hey, bro, y'all good over there? All right. Because if a guy ever say, listen, he shouldn't even be going to her. He should be making sure that he confer with us so that we can all group together and get it together. We going to take care of this. We going to take care of this. When my father died in 2017, my mama didn't do nothing. She ain't do nothing but hand over everything that she needed to hand over as far as for us to make sure this stuff is taken care of. All right, is the taxes paid? This is what we going to do. Me and my brothers came to, this is what we going to do with the cars. The taxes, is the taxes paid? Okay, so let's make sure that she good. What does her accounts look like? All right, so we went to the funeral home. We set everything in place. We made sure that everything was, that ain't her business. That is not her business. She not there to do anything. We took care of that. Me and my three brothers, and we all got different personalities and we all in different spaces of life. We got together and we made the decision on what was going to happen going forward. End of discussion. Nothing else to talk about. Hey, y'all the girls over there, y'all sit there, y'all can pick the type of flowers that y'all want. We gonna go over here and handle this business. We'll be back. All discussions was without women. All the discussions, the women were not concerned. They didn't have no say so. We gonna let them know what happened after we have a conversation. We not talking to y'all about what's going to happen. This is what's gonna happen. Mom's gonna be taken care of. This is gonna be taken care of, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And I do the same thing with my mother-in-law. Rita come to me, hey, okay, so this is what we're gonna do. Make sure she's straight. Hey, you know what? Call the dealership, get her a new car, because I don't like the fact that the winter is coming up. And I don't like the car that she's driving in. It don't seem like the car that I would want her in because that's my mother-in-law. Get her a new car, get that situation taken care of, end of discussion. I'm not sitting here going back and forth. I'm not asking you for permission. This is what's going to happen. And you're going to be happy about it. So, it's different for us. And like I said, masculinity is always going to be in style, so you're never going to have to project it. You just got to be it. You just got to embrace who you naturally are. Let me read some of the super chats, and then we're going to move over to the next part of the show, because I want to get into Joe Rogan and him saying that he was possibly already smitten by the Democratic Party and how they messed it up. P. Shank says, happy Thanksgiving, Mr. Anton Daniels. Happy Thanksgiving to you, P. Shank. I love you. Fair Woods is in the building, says Kamala going to start an OnlyFans to pay campaign debt, and happy Thanksgiving. Chris Cunningham says, she's the reason why the Dems got exposed. No, they was already getting exposed. Well-building Journey then says, Harris internal polling had shown Trump in the lead the whole time with accuracy. Their last internal poll was showing Trump 54, Harris 46. Yep, I heard that too. David Simpson Jr. says we wasted $1.4 billion on a doomed campaign. No, y'all wasted it. We didn't. Allegedly, Act Blue Democrat payment processor is under investigation. Where did all of that money come from? Happy Thanksgiving. They said over 4 million people gave on an average $57 a piece. I don't believe it. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, because I don't believe it at all. Trax then goes on to say Kamala and her staff didn't trust her to talk on her own. Joe Rogan is not an aggressive interviewer, yet she didn't trust herself to talk to him. Let me tell you something. The thing that people shouldn't fear is aggressive interviewers, because you can head that off. The thing that people have to fear is people that let you talk. I'm going to let you sit on that, Trax. I'm going to let you sit on that. I'm going to let you think about that. Anton looking for voters mean that there was vetted male voters because they was looking for simps and the sassies and uninformed. Jay Hunter Lee says they live conservative lives but preach liberal. I agree. Shout out to Dre Harrison. I appreciate you, big dog. Anton, can you be informed of the pros and cons of both the Republicans and Democrat sides and still not vote? Yeah, of course you can. I didn't vote because I don't prescribe to the systems of man, especially knowing that both sides will ultimately march us into a one world government. Well, that's unfortunate for you, because the interesting part about it is that you will subscribe to the systems of man, except for you won't have any say-so of what happens within it. So now I'm going to determine what happens. I remember, even though I don't believe that Biden won the vote last year, or in 2020, they say that black women were the determining factor for whether or not we were going to go into a democratic presidency. All you subscribing, no matter what you say, you're just subscribing to what somebody else wants for you. You know the thing about it, I also see people talk about spirituality and they say, I'm going to depend on God to pick for me. You know, it say faith without works is dead, right? You can pray, but then you got to do something. You can pray, and then you have to do something. So if you say, well, I don't subscribe, I am informed, but I'm not voting, okay, cool. So basically, you got informed so that you can complain about what I'm going to determine for you, and then you're going to give God the credit for it. Okay, well, then you might as well just pray for me to make the right decision for you. Right? Because if you so faith-based, or if you don't subscribe to it, or you don't prescribe to the system of man, knowing that both sides will ultimately march you, cool, then pray for me, because I'm going to make the decision for you. And pray for other people, because they going to make the decision for you, right? Because we going to march you into it. Then you might as well send your prayers up to me. Just keep me uplifted in prayer. I take all your blessings. I think that that's incredibly irresponsible. And for you to say that you're informed but then don't take any action as a result of it is crazy. That reminds me of people that read books all day. I know people that can develop 1,000 different business plans, but they never execute on it. And then they go play the lottery. It's crazy to me. Honest to God, that's the craziest thing ever. Antonio Watkins says, I'm wearing my Trump hat today. It might turn into a world war. I'm prepared to even be kicked out because my auntie is an AKA prepared for the smoke. I don't know about that. Don't invite the smoke unnecessarily at the family dinner. You know what I'm saying? Cynthia Haynes, at the end of the day, them folks, her peers, faked the funk and stole the money. I agree. More Than Mello says, last year I was changing tires on the freeway, barely paying bills. Now I work an IT job, starting my BS next week. Thank you for pushing us every day. Shout out to the bag chasers. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. In the description. Sam, I am, says, I need that old Wednesday nights 80 telling us how it is, but loving it. We need you syndicated around the U.S. It's coming. It's coming. Darren Walker goes on to say, what's funny is they say conservative female candidates won't experience misogyny when misogyny is hate or prejudice for women. That's a good point. Movement, New Movement Inc. Shout out to you. Happy Thanksgiving. Anthony Wright Network says, AD, stay on their necks. You on point. It's 70 degrees in Arizona. Ooh, I need to be in AZ for a second. Oat Milk says, off topic, do you subscribe to the idea that the better life of leisure you can give to a woman, the more submissive she'll become? Hashtag or loyalty. Yes and no. And the reason that I say yes and no is because I know men and women who are in a relationship just based off of the transaction, but it doesn't change the fact that she don't like him and that she's still using him and she's still doing what she want to do when she want to do it, and she just looked at him as a sucker and a simp. You see what I'm saying? I think that the fundamentals and the foundation still got to be there. You still got to have respect for him. You still got to love him. You still got to want the best for him. And you still have to admire him. And you still got to look at him the same way that God would like for a woman to look at her man as described in the Bible. That don't change, because a man with money or a man that showers you with gifts, it could still be a lame with money. It still could be a person, or a guy with money can be a scumbag. He could be a person that is absolutely one of the most horrible human beings on earth, but because he got resources, it's not going to make your life enjoyable. It just means you're going to be super miserable with money. I also know women on the flip side that loves a guy that's just an average, regular, everyday person, but love his draws off. And she's incredibly loyal to him because the respect that he has and that he gains. For example, you can't tell me a person that goes to work every single day and then also is a community leader when he get off of work don't command the same respect as a person that generate a lot of revenue. His purpose in life might just be a little bit different. He still needs to be resourceful. He still needs to provide for his family, but it doesn't mean that he deserves any less respect or any less submission from the woman that's on his side. You see what I'm saying? So yes and no. I believe that men are supposed to be resourceful, but I also believe that the person that they align with has to be equally yoked with them so that they're going in the same direction and they don't miss any of that respect. The problem a lot of times is we're not including that equally yoked part as a part of the conversation, and we think that it's just money and resources. Hey, give her a bunch of money, give her a bunch of resources. She's going to be submissive. No, she's going to cheat on you, and then she's going to take half your stuff. So you still have to pray for humility. You still got to pray for good character. You still got to pray for love. You still got to love them as Christ loved the church. You see what I'm saying? So all of that stuff still has to be there. You can't change that. And then when you throw the money along with it, with the good character, it makes everything exponentially better. So that's my thoughts on that. Great question, Oop Milk. Let me continue to read these super chats and we're going to move over to the next part of the show. Locked in and watching from Atlanta. Shout out to the Nubian Bookstore. Shout out to the Nubian Bookstore. I love y'all, Marcus Williams. Sean S. says, happy Thanksgiving, Unc. Peace and Pan-Africanism. Was just about to ask your thoughts about caring for your elderly because I heard both sides. Caring for the elderly. You got to give me more context. So let's talk about it, OG. I guarantee you that I can sway you. Sway me what? You can sway me on what? The importance of not voting? You'll never be able to sway me on that. Old Plain Jane with the messy hair said, without saying black men who voted for Kamala are weak, predictable, and still controllable, hold this L. Track says, she did say that too. That was the point. Since he's not aggressive, then she can just talk and we'll see how truly she thinks. Speak and where the conversation goes. Tracy J says, I will be ready to join the Chasers next month. Shout out to the new Chasers that's joining on the 1st. Rashawn Irving says, what up, though? Sending love to you. Yardstick was my birthday. I'm out here in Arizona living it with the fam, and I love what you do and stand for. Shout out to everybody that support the platform and hold me down. I appreciate y'all. We got to continue on with the show. I told you we had a full show today, right? I don't miss. I'm going to give y'all the same amount of effort that I do every single day. Thanksgiving, Christmas, holidays, just a regular Thursday or a Monday, you're going to get this work. You're going to get the full show, all right? Let's continue on with the show. So, Joe Rogan, y'all. Joe Rogan and CNN is discussing this, and so I love to see the hyenas and the people on CNN that is very much biased having this conversation about Joe Rogan, said that Democrats had him on their side. Let's get the full context and let's break it down.
Patrick, let's start with that idea. When people, if there are such people who say that they need a liberal Joe Rogan, what do you think they actually mean when they say that?
Well, I think the short answer is they do need a new Joe Rogan. The question is, what does that look like? And I don't know if it's you can actually create it. You know, there apparently a lot of Republicans were creating some of these podcasters and so on. So now the mainstream media has changed quite a bit. And I don't know if it's so much about who the person is or if there is a person. It's where they're getting their message to and how they're getting it out there. Because obviously, as Joe Rogan himself said, everybody's getting their information from their phone. So where are you going to get that now? You can go on X like I do all the time, and you get it from all sides there. But I think for the Democrats, they need to find a way to get their message out to the people that they didn't get it out to.
Misha, I see you ready to jump here.
I agree with that. I think it is more an understanding of the new ecosystem, where people are getting their media messages from. We know that a lot of it is digital, it's social media. People aren't picking up the newspaper anymore.
Did, right? They like TikTok their way through the coconut summer. And
yeah, nobody cared about the coconuts. I think that it was a misreading of the electorate, but also a misreading of where people are getting their information. But in addition to that, it is not one person. I think that, Joe Rogan has had more lives than cats when it comes to changing it up. I grew up seeing Joe Rogan, have people eat testicles of animals and crawl through the darkness when he was doing Fear Factor. Then he did MMA, and now he's doing this. The man he shapeshifts a lot. That's not necessarily what is the thing that's bringing people in. What Democrats have to do is figure out ways in which they can get to the podcast that their people are listening to. That means your younger voters, your people of color voters. They're getting a lot of information from things that are not, unfortunately, shows like ours right now, that are not shows of the competitors either. You have to find a way to break through that. And I think that for Democrats, largely, their investments have been in ad buys and campaigns that are focused on media that the young people, that diverse voter just aren't in anymore.
She's right and she's wrong. It's not that the liberal side need a Joe Rogan. The fact that Joe Rogan was open to having Kamala Harris on the show, but she declined to do so because she was incompetent and didn't feel comfortable talking past a 30-minute mark. And that's where the majority of her interviews is in the 30-minute mark, was the problem, and that she was an incompetent candidate. The other problem was that the Democrats don't really have a message that resonates with people, and we don't believe that they're authentic, justifiably so. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of Republicans that may be a little bit unsavory, and we don't necessarily trust them either. Again, I say this regularly. I think that the worst president in my lifetime was George W. Bush II. Followed closely by Biden. Followed very closely by Biden. But the worst president of my time, in my opinion, for me and my lifestyle and what I've experienced as a 42-year-old man living in Detroit, Michigan, the worst president of my lifetime was George W. II. And so it's not just like liberal side, conservative side, they need a Joe Rogan of their own. You can't make a Joe Rogan of your own. That's just naturally got to be in you. You can get as many people as you want. It's not about what you can make them. It's about whether or not you're authentic. What podcasters have exposed and what content creators have done is we've changed the media landscape completely on its head. We said, listen, I'm not pitching to you. I don't need you. And we can do it on our own. I don't need you. I do more views organically in long form content than anybody else in Michigan. Nobody in Michigan, considering all of my platforms combined, as a long form streamer and content creator, does more than I do in this entire state. You know what's happening? I'll tell you exactly what's happening. Everybody has become my friend. The sheriffs, anybody that has a vested interest in getting their message out and understand what's going to happen over the next 2 to 4 to 8 to 16 years, and is saying, hey, man, listen, I'm thinking about running for this, or I'm the incumbent mayor in this particular city, or this is what I resonate for. Oh, they look at my stats and they say, okay, wait a minute, I got to be friends with this guy. Because my voice resonates much greater in my state, in every city, than the traditional media. We don't care about your media buys. You got to come kick it with me now. You got to build a relationship. That's why when people say, Anton, would you ever run for office? For what? I got more power having my own voice and my own platform that's continuously growing every single year than I would have as a legislator myself. And so I don't think that Democrats understand the media landscape. They are still just throwing money at the wall, but they haven't tailored a message. It's similar to developing an application for somebody. And my company has developed applications for people. But before we do, we say, well, wait a minute. What's the point of developing the greatest app of all time if A, you can't maintain it, And B, you can't make inroads because you don't understand the marketing strategy as to why people would then download your app in the first place. You are not going to get no traction. You got not going to get no visibility. Now, we'll take your money, but that don't mean that you're going to actually become successful in this marketplace because you have to have a comprehensive strategy. And I think that Democrats have completely lost their understanding of what people want. They don't understand what's happening on the streets. They don't even understand what resonates with people. And so they thought that they could throw a bunch of money and that would make people come over to their side. People just took their money and left. Didn't matter.
I think Democrats need to find a message first. What
And
is
he's
their
right.
message
He's
to voters?
absolutely
I don't
right.
understand. Do they want to be the far left? Do they want to be moderate? Do they want to be, where do they want to land? I mean, it's like, it's so inauthentic to me to hear, like, we need to find our own. How are we going to create somebody out of thin air? First, they need to find a message and figure out who they are, and then figure all that out.
So it wasn't healthcare access. It wasn't housing affordability. It
Nope.
wasn't childcare affordability. It wasn't having assistance in
clearly
your
didn't-
home for the
it clearly
that
didn't work
sandwich
in this last
generation.
election,
None
so
of those
that's
things.
Look, I'm not. Look, you guys are the one arguing all the time on TV and on radio and everywhere else about what the message is. I'm just saying they need to figure out the message, and then.
To be clear, Republicans argue about their message all the time, and I think
How the losers always going to tell the winners what they need to do differently? No, you need to shut up and listen. You need to shut up and listen.
grew up with right-wing radio and obviously Rush Limbaugh. There's always been a robust right-wing media ecosystem. And the question I have is, how much of this is actually about audience and what you will allow? Meaning, the campaign didn't let Kamala Harris sit for 3 hours. And I don't think the campaign would have put her in front of Theo Vaughn to talk about his cocaine habit.
Look,
like, Democrats have a different
so
sense of, like,
stupid.
what's okay to do.
That's actually
Nope, and they're wrong. And you know how I know they're wrong? Is because when they tried to do their equivalent of Joe Rogan and they sat him in front of they sat her in front of Shannon Sharp got destroyed. I believe, honestly, of all of the moves that Shannon Sharp made last year or this year, and Shannon Sharp had an incredible year. He started off the year with a bang with Cat Williams. Shannon Sharp, Club Shay Shay don't have the same sachet that it did towards the beginning of the year. And I think that one of the main reasons is because he had Kamala Harris and it seemed like he was pandering. You can throw them on anything that all the smoke, caught the smoke. Shannon Sharp caught the smoke. You can't just show up and think that that's the end of the conversation. It has to be more than that. It has to be more than that. I believe that people lost respect for people that were pandering, and it did not seem authentic. The one thing that Trump and J.D. Vance did was that they didn't put any kind of requirements. They didn't do any of that stuff. They said, listen, we going to come, and you can ask us whatever it is that you want, and we just going to have a conversation, and it is what it is. And people were able to recognize the authenticity. They was able to recognize authenticity.
Actually precisely the point. However, Bernie Sanders had no problem going on Joe Rogan years ago when Joe Rogan endorsed him. I've been on Rogan's show 3 times. I've probably heard over 100 hours of it in the past decade. A decade ago, Joe Rogan was a Bernie Sanders supporter who would get emotional talking about how important it is to legalize marijuana, who would get emotional talking about how important.
Hey, V12, chill out, bro. Chill out. Doing too much, man. Y'all. And it ain't even towards me, it's towards people in the chat. I keep telling y'all, man, y'all gotta start acting like adults. You gotta start acting like adults. You can't say that type of stuff about people. I keep telling y'all to calm down with the disrespect towards each other. I don't know why y'all don't act like y'all grown adults. What are y'all, 16 sometimes? Unreal, man. For real, chill out. Y'all be doing a lot. Doing a lot.
It is to get Christianity out of politics, in particular on the abortion issue, who had a host of left-wing opinions, including about healthcare. And liberals drove him away by calling him a racist, unearthing jokes he made, calling him a misogynist, really with no evidence.
When you make racist
calling him
jokes
a transphobe,
about people of color,
calling him a
people
lot of
calling you
comedians
racist is
make
likely going to
jokes
happen.
all the time. Calling him transphobic because he didn't like
He
seeing
also didn't
Fallon
love the
Fox
vaccine thing, right?
beating up.
To our point earlier.
That also used to be a left-wing opinion, to be against vaccines like 20 years ago. Again, so
he actually hasn't shapeshifted very much, to your point. The Democratic Party has shapeshifted and driven him away and alienated his followers.
I think what he ended up seeing was an American political sphere that shifted, and he found ways. He's a lot smarter than people give him credit for. He found ways to walk into where those people were. Yes, he was a proud, ultra leftist, and then he became a proud person on the right, largely because he saw shifting towards the right, and that's where his money and his audience could come from. He shifted because more of his listeners shifted, and that's where he drove it to. That's nothing more than consumerism at work.
Which of his beliefs changed in the past 10 years? It's really hard to point out which of his beliefs.
But can I zoom out from him? Because I think there is this, and I see you nodding as well, this kind of bigger question. Like, you have a Jon Stewart, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have Pod Save America. You have all kinds of
Conan
even
O'Brien,
the late night, television brigade.
They're all left on the late night shows. I think what he said to me, what rings true about this whole concept of finding the liberal Joe Rogan is, he said, inauthentic. And when you talked about what Kamala Harris did in this campaign, knocking on doors, doing it sort of the traditional way, right? Raising tons of money. But there's something about Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, or Joe Rogan or whomever, they are authentic.
Right. Totally.
And that comes through to people. And when you're trying to get your message out, whatever that message is, you have to be authentic.
You
and I
can
think
be
they missed
authentic,
it
though,
this
when you have something like 20, 30 years in the public eye, specifically the tabloids. There's no gaffe. There's no thing that you can be tripped up by. I mean, you're a politician. You know what it's like. Very careful campaigns are.
The left needs to find a relevant voice that can live in that exact moment and be that authentic person, not just carrying the party's water.
So what about Pete Buttigieg? I see him everywhere online, and he goes on Fox constantly.
But he's not a Joe Rogan. He's not running a day-to-day,
No, I just mean
hourly.
like it's possible for figures to go out.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to hit all the boxes. You got to be a good communicator. You got to be relevant. You got to be able to push back. You got to be able to invite guests on that are newsy. But I think at the end of the day, the Democrats need an honest umpire. One of the most damaging parts of this entire campaign.
Say that again, an honest umpire.
An honest umpire.
To
be able to call balls and strikes. And so one of the most detrimental things that Kamala Harris, in my opinion, did during the campaign was when she answered the question, what would you do differently than Joe Biden? She said nothing. Now, I think that was born out of respect for Joe Biden, but it rang in the ears of everybody trying to figure out who they wanted to.
Which the campaign said just this week.
If we want to have a relevant voice in the Democrat ecosystem,
gotta be real.
you've got to have somebody willing to try to take those steps. One of the things I heard often on the campaign trail in these swing states was, you can respect an audience, but you don't have to overcompensate for an audience. And it felt like so much of the party platform of the Democrats were trying to compensate for parts of the party or parts of the policy positions.
This gets back to the coalition management.
And somebody needs to stand up and grab the reins.
We also remember one thing here, because I keep hearing I heard it from you a couple of times, mandate, okay? Donald Trump's gotten almost 77 million votes. He's approaching 77 million. Kamala Harris is approaching 74.5 million. That's a $2.5 million vote difference, which is big, but not huge. So is it really, I mean, I know the Republicans have to always say it's a mandate. Is it really? I mean, that's still a lot of votes that Harris received in this
When you have
campaign.
the Senate and the House, I think that's pretty big voice that the American.
It was a solid victory, no doubt.
The fact of the matter is that there's nobody in the Democratic Party that's authentic. And anybody that then shows any level of authenticity is extreme. They're extreme liberal. They're authentically crazy. So, anyways, let's continue on with the show. Let me read some of the super chats, and then we're going to move over into diversity, equity, and inclusion, because Black peoples is mad. Just a little something to add to the collection place. Thank you, Mecca. I appreciate you. Thank you, big dog. I appreciate you for holding me down. Donkey Benjamin says left-leaning podcasts are beginning to fail in the same way that left-leaning talk radio failed. They can talk for 3 hours and make sense at the same time. Sean says, did you get your invite to Thanksgiving? Now, you know Anton gonna still get his invite. You know what I'm saying? Thanksgiving ain't Thanksgiving without Time Dog pulling up. Wesley Turner says Joe Rogan built it organically. He did. Because he just wanted to talk to people without an agenda. The left will always have an agenda, and that won't work. And I don't think it works for content creators either. Jay Denoir 89 says Dems had a Rogan. Far left weirdos ran him off. JC says they threw money at Black Lives Matter, and now at Kamala lost. Crazy. Wesley Turner says Joe Rogan was built organic because he just wanted to talk to people without an agenda. The left will always have an agenda, and that won't work. He also says they need to just talk to Joe Rogan, right. The people rock with who the people rock with. Fit Billionaire, I like that name, says, what's up, Anton? I wanted to set up an interview for the position you recently posted. I know I can help and elevate the platform. Send me an email, antondaniels413@gmail.com. And then we gonna make sure. And if you've already sent, for the people that's already sent me something, you don't have to send it again. I already got it. I'm going through everything. Can I get a happy birthday for my son, Caden, who was born on Thanksgiving 10 years ago? He's a straight A student, a young bag chaser who asked for his money to go to his investment account. Shout out to him. Happy birthday, Caden. Happy birthday to you. Shout out to Caden. Shout out to you. Happy birthday. I know the young people don't be wanting to be embarrassed, but happy birthday, Caden, and your father loves you. I'm just glad we're unburdened by what's distilled. Shout out to J. Ben. All right, y'all, let's talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion really quickly. I know y'all hate those terms, but I love it in this instance. So we all know that Walmart decided to unburden themselves by continuing to throw money at substandard practices that then discriminated and created bias and prejudice against other people that may or may not have deserved a chance, but they didn't let capitalism ring. And now black people are feeling some type of way. Sassy people are feeling some type of way. They think that just because you like boys on boys and you like to lay on your back, that automatically that qualifies you for diversity, equity, and inclusion to be able to get on Walmart shelves or to start businesses on Walmart's site over a person that decided that they don't want to lay on their stomach and lay on their back. And how is that fair? But black people pulled up, and the National Urban League president is responding to Walmart's scathing diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives that's going away. Check it out.
Walmart has announced it's joining a growing number of companies cutting back on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. As part of the new rollback, the world's largest retailer says it will no longer give priority treatment to suppliers owned by minorities and women. It will also scale back racial equity training and review its support for things like Pride Month and other events. Yesterday, we spoke to Walmart CEO John Furner, and here's what he had to say about the change.
What we're trying to do is to ensure that every customer, every associate feels welcome here to shop and to feel like they belong. And that term, belong, we've been talking about belonging now for almost 2 years. Early 2023, we started talking about belonging. And we're going to continue to make the best decisions we can that makes everyone, our customers, our associates, feel like this is an environment they can shop in and thrive in.
Joining us now is the president and CEO of the National Urban League, Mark Morial. Good morning, Mark.
Thanks, Adriana. Tony, congratulations to you guys.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for being on our show. And thank you for being here. So in your statement to Walmart, you issued a statement to them where you didn't mince words. You said that this has potentially disastrous effects. It's hasty and ill-advised. It's a hasty and ill-advised capitulation to anti-racial justice extremists. And you say it could point to a regression to a past marked by discrimination, racial profiling, and insensitivity. What do you think, Mark, will be the real-world impact of these changes?
Well, I'm dismayed by this decision because as a 20-year partner of Walmart, none of us got a heads up that they were even reevaluating or reconsidering their corporate diversity or equal opportunity initiatives.
I find it funny that people say that they're a partner or something, but they don't have no stock in the company. You mean Walmart gave you a leg up and they said that they wanted to work with you because they had to, because everybody was in woke culture just 10, 20 years ago. And so they said, all right, listen, we got to fill these quotas. We got to take care of business. We got to look good for our shareholders, and we got to keep black people and colored people at bay. And so let me partner with you. The only partners that Walmart has are shareholders and chairmen and stockholders. That's it. We had a partnership. No. You was a part of the diversity, equity, and inclusion program. You had a 20-year run. Let it go. Amazing.
Here's what's important to remember. This company was under recriminations, lawsuits, complaints 20 years ago. The CEO at that time, Tony and Adriana, Lee Scott, led a remarkable transformation of this company over the last 20 years. And they went from worst to first class when it comes to diversity. The idea that they would throw all of that away without any careful consultation with their partners, without any real serious evaluation of the success of these programs is what dismays me. And I've communicated to the leadership of the company my desire to meet with them to have a discussion. I think what they did is succumb to a smear campaign, to threats, to bullying, and to blackmail by a handful of extremists. We need American business leaders to stand up for American values. And one value of this nation is equal opportunity. That's all diversity, equity, and inclusion is about.
It's not.
It's about creating a level playing field for all.
It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. Don't let them trick you and trick you out your bag. If somebody else ever and under any circumstances misses an opportunity because you had bias towards somebody else for something that they don't even, that's not even relevant to the business itself, then that is not fair. I don't know. Listen. I had Aaron L. send a couple super chats yesterday, and he said, Anton, you don't truly understand diversity, equity, and inclusion. I do. I also understood affirmative action. I also understood the civil rights movement. I also understand prejudice, racism, and bias. It's not. May the best person that have the best product and the best business acumen be the person that emerges as the best partner. It's it. That is it. You know what? I'm about to start having diversity, equity, and inclusion. I need to get me a white girl on the show. Or a white man. Am I participating in diversity, equity, and inclusion? You know what? I need to go out of my way to hand select and find the right white people to be on my show. Now, wait a minute. Anton, should you just have the best people that's organically fitting into your show? Or should you make sure that you have an Asian woman, a white man, a Latino man? Do we have to make sure that we have diversity, equity, and inclusion? When the last time BET had a diversity, equity, and inclusion show on their platform? Is BET going to be running diversity, equity, and inclusion holiday shows? I want to see BET run Home Alone. If Home Alone don't get no play, if The Christmas Story don't get no play on BET, that's a problem. That is a problem. Every black-owned business needs to hire a not black person. Every Asian company needs to hire a not Asian person. I mean, it just sounds dumb. You get the best people to sell the most products and you try to become as profitable as possible. That's it. Nobody deserves a leg up over anybody. Otherwise, it's unfair. Nobody gets special treatment is out the door, okay?
Walmart
is what ruined the NBA.
Not alone here. I mean, you have Lowe's, Harley Davidson, John Deere, many other countries who are kind of pulling back on their diversity initiatives.
Good.
Does DEI itself have a PR problem? Because these days it seems to have some baggage.
It's been smeared by a hate mob. Diversity, equity, and inclusion were a set of terms designed to create a positive, if you will, image and a positive conversation about an America for all, an America that is open to all. And now it's being smeared. It's being smeared in the same way the word affirmative action was smeared another generation ago. So the nomenclature is one thing.
Who disagree with me on this point? You know what? It's Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving. Give me a second. I'm in the giving mood. I'm going to give y'all an opportunity. Now, don't come up here talking about Anton, I rock with you, I love you. I just wanted to call in and support your platform.
You and the principle is what counts. DE&I is consistent with meritocracy. Because what DE&I says is give those who have merit, but who've been locked out, an opportunity. So these two value propositions work together. So
the Supreme Court, you mentioned affirmative action. John Roberts, Chief Justice, had a line, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is a close paraphrase, that the way to end discrimination on the basis of race is to stop discriminating on the basis of race. The argument being that by favoring
Antonio, what do you disagree with?
DEI, I believe it's good, and I do want to see
that DEI is
DEI
good?
with BET and in Asian communities.
Say that again.
I agree with DEI, and
So
I want to see it on BET. I want to see it on BET, and I want to see it in Asian communities. I want to see it in the small hat communities.
So
Yes.
you believe that everybody should be forced. You put your own money up, you got your own platform, they should be forced to have somebody or hire somebody on there that don't look like them. Just because they don't look like them.
Once you get so many hires, I mean, they can come up with a number, but once you have so many employees, you need to start putting one person, two people here or there to have DEI.
Why?
You know, because we all need to come together as one nation. This is the United States. We're a melting pot, so your company need to be a melting pot the bigger it gets.
Nope. The United States of America is a business. We are not here for everybody. I don't believe that everybody should be able to come across our borders. I believe we only should have the best and the brightest that can add to the United States and add to the community. I do not believe that everybody deserves a chance just because. I don't want a bunch of room 9 people over here. I am not going to give a bunch of people that can't add value into my company. I am going to hire the best person for the job so I can be as profitable as possible. And that's how you preserve wealth. That's how you generate revenue. That's how you add jobs. And that's how you contribute into the American economy. I'm not trying to be your friend just because you look differently or you look like me. I want the best person available.
Yeah, you get the best DEI available.
No. Ain't no DEI. Because first of all, you don't get no equity in my company. I don't care about diversity. And I don't care to be inclusive. The only thing I care about is making sure that I'm being as profitable as possible.
Listen, as soon as you said, I want the best white woman to be a part of the show, I 1000% agree.
That was a joke.
But I agree with it, even though it's a joke.
Why? Because you like white women.
No, because I like diversity, equity, and
Because
inclusion.
you like white women.
I like the listen. You could have said
You like
Asian woman,
white
I
women.
still would agree. You
like
could have
white
said a
women.
Mexican woman, I would agree.
So you want to bust them all down.
No, I want everybody to get along. That's what I want.
I don't. I'm not trying to be
I want to see everybody get along.
I'm trying to be
I
as
want to
profitable as
see.
possible.
I want to see if you get on a city bus, I want to see an Asian guy and a black guy talking. I want to see a white guy and a Mexican guy talking, conversing. I want us to be,
I want
we're
people
all
to be
part
able to
of,
do what they want to do.
we're
as long
all
as they,
legal. Now, I want to make sure I put this together too now. We're all legally here. And so I want all us to legally get together.
We not all legally here. That's the problem.
Well, that is a problem. Now that's a problem.
We not
I'm
legally
not
here, so I
pushing.
don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we are citizens of the United States.
No, we not all citizens of the United States of America. That's where we had a problem. That's why they not in office no more.
I mean, well, I'm not speaking on the illegals that's here. I'm only speaking on the people that's here legally.
Because then that's not we all.
Yes, it is.
That's not.
Listen,
we're not all here.
Listen, we all understand that illegal is illegal. You need to be punished for being illegal.
No, we don't all understand it. And that's why we having so many problems with people trying to protect people that's not supposed to be here.
Listen, I definitely agree with the deporter in chief. And the guy who was just hired,
okay, Antonio,
I'm on his side.
You flip-flopping. You got to take one side.
No, I'm not flip-flopping. All I'm saying is once you get a show with so many employees, or once you get a business with so many employees, that I believe in starting to strengthen in.
How you gonna tell
It's
somebody else
hard.
what to do with their business? So you gonna
Right,
tell
and
somebody that
I
they
get
gotta
that.
spend
I
some
get that.
money, they gotta spend some money that they don't want to spend based off of what? Diversity, equity, just because it's people that, man, you gotta be kidding me. Can't nobody tell me what to do with my money.
DEI hire. The best DEI hire.
No, because then you prevent somebody else that could be qualified for the job from being able to get it. That's unfair. If
Yeah, that's
somebody
true.
else misses out on a position because you black, or if somebody else misses out on a position because you white, that is not fair.
That's also true.
So then we can't do it. All right, I
I
gotta
just
let
like
you
to.
go, Antonio. I got another person.
Okay.
Y'all gonna have to substantiate y'all argument today. Dre, what up?
What's good with you, man? How you doing?
Chilling. Help me to understand where I'm off.
Um, well, that's not really why I really called in, man. I'm the guy that was sent you the super chat about the voting and everything. So I agree with you on DEI. And I know you said don't call up in here if you don't disagree with DEI, but I had to call because I needed to speak with you and get your opinion
On what?
about
Oh,
that
voting.
super
Okay, all
chat.
right. So help me to understand
Yeah,
why
yeah.
it makes sense for you to become informed as a voter and then don't participate in the voting process.
Okay. It makes sense for me, man, just based off what I believe. All right. So when it comes to the systems of man, the Bible says that you should not put your faith in man. That not only includes man itself, but it also includes its systems. So when I say that I don't prescribe to the systems
Why you
of
throwing
this,
extra? Hold on. Let's stop there. Why you throwing extra stuff
okay.
into it? Ain't say nothing about a system. And I'm gonna give the full context of not putting your faith in man, but we'll get there. Okay, so you throwing extra
Okay.
on top of the Bible and the systems part, but go ahead.
I don't I don't think I'm throwing extra. I'm just being real
It didn't
about
say nothing. You got to
it.
quote it for
Okay.
what it says. You can't change the words to mean something that you want it to mean.
Okay. So the Bible says that you should not put your faith in man.
Correct.
Then I'm gonna also take it as the systems. I'm not saying the Bible said the systems, but
No,
I'm
you
going to
can't
say
remix it.
that
Okay,
I said it.
so you don't want to you saying so we're gonna remove the Bible from this completely. We got to remove the Bible
Okay.
from this conversation. So you're
All
saying
right.
don't put your faith in man and systems. Why?
Because when you do that, you kind of exalt them, you kind of idolize them, you kind of exalt them and uplift them to be higher than what they are. This is why we have so much division in our country sometimes when it comes to people identifying as either Republican or Democrat, and then arguing or fighting or really getting bent out of shape about it, is because they use that as an identity for themselves. I'm not one to use it as an identity for myself. So I choose not to indulge in it per se. Now, do I understand the pros and the cons of each side? Yes, I 100% do. But I also look at it as I look at both sides as two fangs in the same snake, if I'm being 100% real with you.
Okay, so when people quote the Bible, let me bring it back to the
Hmm.
Bible and then I'm gonna address your concern, okay?
All right.
You're quoting Psalms 146 and 3.
Yep.
Okay. Let's start in the beginning of that. Let's not start at 3. I always tell people they need to get the full context of what the word is saying because they take it out of
I agree.
context and it doesn't necessarily mean what they think it means. It says,
Okay.
praise ye the Lord, praise the Lord, O my soul. This is in 1. While I
Hmm.
live, will I praise the Lord, I will sing praises unto my God while I have any being. And 3, it says, put not your trust in princes, nor in the Son of Man,
Yep. There you go.
whom there
Now you
is
gotta you
no
gotta
help.
elaborate.
Hold on, listen. Whom there is no help. His breath goeth forth, and he returneth to the earth. And that
Yep.
very day his thoughts perish. Okay? Happy is he that hath the God of Jacob for his help, whose hope is in the Lord his God, which made heaven and earth.
Hmm.
This is 6, which made heaven and earth, the sea and all therein all that there is, which keepeth truth forever. which executeth judgment for the oppressed, which giveth food to the hungry. The Lord looseth the prisoners. The Lord openeth the eyes of the blind. The Lord raiseth them that are bowed down. The Lord loveth the righteous. The Lord preserveth the strangers. He relieveth the fatherless and the widow. But the way of the wicked he turneth upside down. The Lord shall reign forever. Even thy God, O Zion, unto all generations praise ye the Lord. What God is talking about is salvation. He's saying not to put your faith in son and man, but to put your faith in he that is able to do all these things and have been able to execute on all of these things. So when we're talking about every day, every single day, moving throughout the day, and you're saying not to put your faith in man, he's not talking about the things that you're supposed to do as a man. He's talking about the thing that you then praise and look to for salvation, because man does not have a heaven and the earth to put you in hell or heaven. And so he's saying to lean to the understandings of the word of God, and the word is God and the word was with God, but he's not talking about your everyday actions as a man. There are specific instructions that you're supposed to do. One of the things that he says inside of the word is to obey the laws of the land. Does that mean that you don't put your faith in God or that you're putting faith in man? No, it means that you're supposed to operate according to how it is that he set things forth in the earth. So when we then get a process to where we can determine or execute on how we're supposed to move, right? You don't then say, you know what, I'm just going to put all of my faith in God and I'm not going to do anything, because that then shows that you don't have any faith in the Savior, in God, or in the word of what he instructed you to do. When we have the opportunity to execute on, and we have the opportunity to be able to do things and show ourselves to be fruitful, to be mindful, to go forth, and then be persecuted for righteousness' sake. To be persecuted for righteousness' sake means that you stand up for what you believe in. It means that you're standing up for the principles and the ways and the fact that you are informed. It means that you're starting to show the world that this is what I'm standing for, regardless of whether you rocking with me or not. That's why he say, then you will be persecuted for righteousness' sake, and that if you suffer with me, you'll reign with me. But a lot of times we become informed and we have all of this knowledge, and then we believe in God, and we say that we not putting our faith in man, but we don't show it, and then we can't then save other souls, or we can't then be persecuted for righteousness' sake, because everything is held within and we don't actually go forth and do anything. And that's why the loudest people and the people that then get things wrong are usually the ones that get the most visibility, because we so afraid to actually stand up for something, do something, execute on our vote, and then stand firm in our belief of why we did what we were supposed to do, because we are informed. So when we then quote these scriptures and say, okay, well, listen, salvation or don't put your faith in man, we got to get the full context. And the actions, the words, they have to align up, and you have to actually do something, because what is it for you to learn everything and become informed? What was the point of it if you're not going to actually execute on it? And this is the question that I have for you, and I'm going to give you the floor, because I know I'm being a little bit more long-winded. What's the point of you learning all of these things if you then don't do anything with the knowledge that you get?
Okay. All right. So the point of actually learning these things, and not necessarily, I'm not going to say, and not necessarily doing anything with it. I think that learning these things is important, and understanding these things is important, so you can see how things line up. Taking it back to the Bible. The Bible says, "Watch well as pray" as well too. So the watching part is me understanding the difference between the both of the two parts. And I have to disagree to a certain degree with what you're saying. You kind of like prove my point, because you also said that it puts the Bible, you should not put your faith in man, right? So
Specifically, he's talking about salvation, but let's continue.
you see, yeah, there we go. You said specifically he's talking about salvation. He's talking about salvation, but he's also talking about not putting your faith in man. You can't remove that portion of it. It says
You're
not to
not
put the
answering
faith
the
in the
question.
princesses.
You taking us around. The
Also,
question is, what's the point of becoming informed and learning about it when you're not going to actually do anything?
because I don't have to. I don't necessarily have to, man. That's
I never said
necessarily
you
my.
had to, or that that's not the
Mhm.
question. You keep trying to switch it. Nobody has to do anything. You got a choice to do what you want to do. The question
Right.
is, what is the point of learning about it, becoming informed when you're not going to do anything about it?
Because I'm gonna let God do it. I'm gonna let the cookie crumble how it crumbles, man. God's gonna do whatever He got to do anyway, and that's one of the reasons why. That's one of the reasons why I
No, no,
didn't
no, no,
do it
no. I'm not
because
talking about what God going to do. I said, what is the point of you becoming informed and learning about it
Mhm.
if it doesn't matter?
I never said it didn't matter.
If you're not going
I
to do
never
anything
said it didn't
about it,
matter.
no, listen. If you're not going to do anything about it, then it doesn't matter because you're not actually doing anything. What's the point of
Not
learning?
necessarily.
What's the point of learning and becoming informed and learning about both parties if you don't
Hmm.
do any? I'm asking. I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong answer. I'm
Because I
saying
don't.
what's the point of learning about it and becoming informed and knowing all of this
Mhm.
information if all of it dies with you?
So I can give somebody else that opportunity to critically think for themselves as well too, because I can also speak. If I can speak to both sides of it, I can talk to somebody and
But you
speak to
don't
them like who's
participate.
also having the same
So your
problem.
words don't
No,
mean
no, no, no. It's
anything.
not. No, no, not necessarily,
If
because the
I learn
participation is the
about
voting, Anton.
if I
The
learn about
participation,
if I learn
the
about
particip. Go ahead.
relationships, right? I can tell you
Hmm.
everything that I've read that somebody else did about a relationship, right?
Hmm.
And this person said this, and that person that said this, and this person said that, and that person say that. They just talking
Yeah.
points because I'm not actually participating, and I can't actually give you any real life experience. It kind of reminds me of people that say that they went to school or they did this and they did that, but they never actually executed on it. People tell me that they know about business, but they never started a business. Then
Right.
we don't
Do you
look at
agree?
you. We don't look at you with any credence, or you just a talking point. It's not actually somebody that we should take serious. Do
That's
you
not true.
respect
So
somebody?
let me start. Let me
Do
tell
you
you.
respect somebody? Do you respect somebody that could tell you how to be successfully married, but they ain't never been successfully married?
You say, okay, do I respect somebody who can tell me how to be? Now, is that person that's telling me how to be successfully married? Has he been divorced? Has he actually been in a marriage before? I
No,
mean, whether it's successful or not,
no,
has he?
no.
Well, then on that case, okay, in that case, no. But if somebody was to come to me and tell me how to be and give me their insight on how to be successfully married, and let's say that person was divorced twice, and
No, 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 no,
let's say
no.
that person
No divorce, no marriage. They not participating. They just know about it.
they're
They
not.
just read about it. They
They,
just heard talking points.
you can't express that experience because you never experienced. That's not what
So
I'm saying.
okay,
What I'm
cool.
saying to you, what I'm
So
saying, hold
how
on. What
so
I'm
so
saying to you
so
is,
so how is it any different if you don't participate in a legislative process,
hmm
yet you're trying to tell people exactly how they should participate in the legislative process? Why should they listen to you?
did Malcolm did Malcolm X
No, no, no,
participate
no, no, no,
in the
no, no,
legislative
no,
process?
no, no. I'm not
Did
talking
did
about
did,
Malcolm X.
did
I'm
Marcus
talking about
Garvey?
Dre
Did
Harrison.
MLK?
I'm talking
Okay.
about Dre Harrison. You didn't know them.
Hmm.
You never met them. You never had a conversation with them. I'm talking about Dre Harrison. And I've read the Malcolm X books.
Okay.
I've actually read the book that his daughter wrote about his life. I have it
Hmm.
right there inside of the room. We're not talking about them. We talking
Okay.
about you. How can you tell somebody or inform them if you've never participated?
I'm not. And there we go. I've never said that I never participated. I participated on several occasions. I'm a military veteran. You see what I'm saying? I've done all these things before. I'm just saying based
You've
off.
done what? You voted
I
before?
can tell you. Oh yeah, come on now.
Okay, so then your
I
point
vote.
is moot. Your point is moot.
No, it's not. It's not in
It
this case
is.
because do you agree? Let me ask you a question. Do you agree that a person you can learn from a person's experience yourself, Anton Daniels? Can you agree that learning from somebody else's experience can help you out in your
Yes.
life?
Yes.
Okay. So now you just proved my point because with the voting thing, because I've done it before and because I've seen how the world works, I've seen how it works from a military standpoint as well too.
Mm.
I can say to my nephews or some young cat or anybody who's having a difficult time trying to figure out what they're doing or who they're going to vote for, and I could break down both sides to you. I could break down the pros and the cons to the Republican and the Democratic side, and then let them choose. Because if I explain to them that, hey, I'm not voting because of this reason and they
Because of
and these
what
things
reason?
like that,
Give me
and
the
then they
reason. I'm the young man
okay,
that you're breaking it down to. Uh,
okay,
Dre, I'm 18.
yep,
Why you not? Why you
okay.
not voting?
I'm not voting. I'm not voting young Anton simply because I don't believe in the system that it is. I believe it's a left wing and a right wing for a reason, and it's all a part of the same bird. At the end of the day,
Okay, so why should I vote then?
you, that young Anton, that is your choice to vote. You
No, I
can
know
vote
it's
either
my
side that
choice,
you
but
want
I'm
to
saying if you don't believe in it, why should I believe in it?
because you're your own man at the end of the day, young
No.
Anton.
I know that, but I'm
You
being influenced by you. I'm trying to understand if you don't believe in
you
it and
shouldn't
you
be
older and
influenced by
wiser
me.
than
You
me,
sh-
how come I should just? I'm just gonna follow what you do because you didn't vote, so I'm not gonna vote either.
because it's the process, son. You got to understand. You have to. Life is a journey. Life
Uh huh.
is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Got
So
you.
you're going to have to make these decisions for yourself,
But at the
and
end of
then
your
eventually
marathon, you
you're going to
decided
get.
not to participate.
Well, it's not the end of my marathon because I ain't dead, young
Okay, well, in the
Anton.
middle of your marathon, you decided not to participate. So I'm just gonna follow what you do.
Well, if you follow what I do 100%, young Anton, then
I'm gonna
you're
follow what
going
you're
to.
doing now because obviously you
Okay.
went through it so that I don't have to deal with it,
Hmm.
and so I'm just gonna mimic your decisions now. Is that
Well,
cool?
then I would tell you. Then no, I'm going to tell you no. I'm going to tell that
So don't
person
do what you
that
do. Do
hey,
what
they
you
should.
say.
No, I'm going to tell that person to experience it first for themselves so they can see what the process is like.
No. I don't want to have to go through it and suffer through it. I want to just, sometimes I can
Then you
learn
went,
from other people's mistakes. And obviously, you made
and
some
then you
mistakes
went.
voting earlier. And so I want to go and skip that
Hmm.
part. And I just want to be informed
Hmm.
and make a better decision so that I'm not going to vote. Okay.
And then at that point, I'm going to explain to you the difference between the Republican side
No,
and the
I don't want to
Democratic
know.
side,
I'm just
the
going to
pros
mimic
and the
your
cons.
decisions.
Then I'm gonna tell you as a young man
Because
that hey, then
there's no point
you
in
may
me
not do
learning
that.
about it if me and you not going to vote
Hmm.
anyway, right?
No, not necessarily, man. Not necessarily. It is a point to a certain degree. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not
Listen,
saying. I'm not
this
saying that.
is the conclusion that I come to. I
Okay,
no
go ahead.
longer subscribe to the idea of do what I say and not what I do. I believe that the reason why the community, and when I say the community, I'm talking about Americans in general, the reason why we are
Hmm.
so confused is because we got a lot of people giving a lot of opinions, but then they don't actually execute on the thing that they say that they telling everybody else to do. I believe in showing receipts. I believe that before you
Hmm.
can preach it, you have to do it. I believe that
Hmm.
you shouldn't give advice on it unless you're a reflection of it. And I don't know,
Hmm.
and I also understand that young people and people in general learn from your behaviors more than they learn from what you
Hmm.
say. What you say is just a
Exactly.
cherry on top. It's not necessarily a reflection of who you are. I go by
But
what
Anton,
people
I've done
are
all those
and what they
things. I've
do.
done
And so
everything
what
that
I'm saying
everything.
is, no. I'm not talking about who you what back then. I'm talking about right now. What I'm saying
That's what
is,
I'm talking.
what I'm saying is, before somebody can tell me how I should vote or whether or not I'm informed, I need to know whether or not they voted. So if you didn't vote in this 2024 election, I then personally, and this is just my opinion, I absolve you from the conversation. It's cool to
I,
have an opinion,
how can
but
you
your opinion
absolve?
have no weight whatsoever.
How can you absolve somebody of that though? Like, because I remember I watch you. I'm a bag chaser, so I watch your show.
Mm-hmm.
So you often say that you like diversity when it comes on your panels. You like having that diversity.
Yeah,
One of the
I like
shows that you was
having
talking about
differences. I like having people that got differences of opinion.
opinions,
I enjoy the
right?
conversation, but when it comes to life advice,
Right.
that's just conversation. When it comes to life advice, I don't
Hmm.
believe that everybody deserves a microphone.
Mm. Okay. So does that make just because my opinion is what it is? Does that take that as does that make my opinion a mute point
To
because
me,
you say so,
yes.
or does
Yes.
it or does it?
For me,
See, I
yes.
gotta for you. Okay, not for everybody else.
Everybody got to make their own decisions. For me, I'm the only
Okay.
person that's talking to you. For me,
Right.
that removes you from being a valid
Mm-hmm.
source that we need to refer to as to why we should or shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
do this particular action. Yes.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Did you vote? Did you vote for? Did you vote for Obama?
Yes.
Okay. And based off what I've, when I watch you and everything like that, you kind of you regret that,
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
Right. Okay. So that experience, right, of regretting your vote,
Hmm?
would you not relay that experience to your daughter or your son or whoever or some young gentleman on the street who comes to ask you a question?
Only as a
Because
reference point.
essentially I'm doing
Oh,
the same thing.
no, only as a reference
Essentially,
point. Only as a reference point to what I'm doing today. So the only way that I'm going to espouse that is as a reference point as to why I voted for Trump today. So I'm still
right.
validating why I'm giving this information by saying that I
Hmm.
participated today. And the reason why I voted the way that I voted today is also a
Hmm.
part of that decision is the way that I voted in yesteryear. And so the reason why I believe that you should vote based off of the
Hmm.
insight that I'm giving you is these reasons, but I'm still participating in the process and I encourage you to do so also.
I'm essentially doing the same thing. I'm just
No, you're
saying
not.
that
No, you're
whoever
not.
I'm speaking to, no,
No, you're
listen,
not.
listen.
No, you're not.
I'm essentially doing the same thing, except that I'm giving that third option. That's all I'm doing. Like you don't, and that third option is the couch.
Yeah, but for
Nine
me
times
that
out of
but for
ten, well, not
me,
9 times out of 10.
but for me, listen, if you're
Let's flip.
talking about being a veteran
Go
in
ahead.
war, then your opinion holds way more weight. But if you're talking
I
about the
know it does.
voting process in 2024, it holds zero weight
Hmm. Why is that?
because you didn't participate.
So, okay. Okay.
And we got to wrap it up, but
I
okay,
just
let's
got,
let's
yeah, yeah. All right, I'm going to say this. If I had voted, it would have been for Trump. If I had voted,
but it don't matter because we don't care about what you would have did. You didn't do
why
it.
not?
So
The cookie
because it
crumble
don't
how it
matter. I,
crumbled.
I don't because you can't say if I had have, I would have. That don't mean nothing because your vote
Hmm.
don't count.
I mean, hey, that may be true. That may be
So we
true.
don't care. We don't care about that.
Uh, I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, there's always a third option. There's always a third
Cool.
option, man.
Cool. But we don't care about what you would have did. We only care about what you did. I know a
Well, you
lot of
don't
people
care
that tell
what
me,
we
I
would have
know a
did.
lot of people that tell me they would have hollered at that girl if she was. I don't believe you because when you had the opportunity to do
Hmm.
it, you didn't do it.
You didn't
There's a
do
lot
it.
of people that
I
tell
got
me
you.
what they would have did. I don't go by that. I go by what they actually
Okay.
did. The only thing that matters is the receipts.
So you like the results. You were a results person.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you were results. Okay.
Yes.
Show me the results and then call it a day. And then we go from there.
Correct. And then
All right.
validate.
I
Give
can
me the
respect
give me
that.
the
I can
the
respect that.
context as to why you did it matters after you actually participated and did it. Don't tell me about what it's like over in Tokyo if you've never been to Tokyo.
Hmm.
You can give me your opinion, and that's dope. And I think that adds to the conversation. But when it comes to actually
Hmm.
taking certain people serious and who we need to follow, we need to be able to
Hmm.
separate the difference between real life and people just talking based off of what they heard. Because I played the game of telephone when I was younger. It never went the way that it was supposed to go.
I mean, I hear you. I hear you. I mean, I still disagree to a certain degree. But it is what it is, man.
I got you. I got you. So you said you was gonna
But I appreciate
convince
you
me.
having
You
me
didn't.
on.
You didn't forget. You didn't
What's
convince
that?
me. You said you was gonna convince me. You didn't convince me. But I appreciate you.
Oh man, we gotta have some libations, man. If you're gonna do all that, that's it.
I appreciate
I'm
you, big
also. I'm
dog.
also. All right, then, bro.
All right. Well, I appreciate y'all for calling in and giving me y'all insight. Let me read some of these super chats and I'm gonna get y'all up out of here for the day. Phil Knight says, "Don't be wearing MAGA hats at dinner, causing a ruckus. Happy things. Don't wear a MAGA hat if you didn't actually vote for Trump. I got new standards. Don't wear a MAGA hat at dinner if you didn't actually vote for Trump. Because you know what I see? I'm going to be honest with y'all. This is what I see. I see a lot of bandwagon MAGAs. I see a lot of bandwagon MAGAs all of a sudden. It reminds me of people that say that they didn't vote for Joe Biden in 2020 and they did. No, you voted for him. Don't switch up on us now. Don't switch up on us now. You voted for Biden in 2020. You voted for Kamala in 2024. Now all of a sudden you ordering a MAGA hat. Get out of here. Get out of here. I don't believe nobody. I don't believe nobody no more. I need to see it. I need to see it. I see a lot of bandwagon riders that's trying to act like they had picked Trump in the beginning, and they were sitting there trying to convince me that, oh man, no, back then you ain't want him. Now all of a sudden you now get out of here. Get out of here. People is going to be faking. You just ordered y'all MAGA hat. Some of y'all just ordered your hat. You ain't have a MAGA hat before the election. You were scared to wear yours. I was right there down front row Lakers game wearing masks. I was right there in the midst of it wearing masks. Everybody else was scared. Oh man, I can't believe you doing that. I can't believe you would actually come out. Oh, be quiet, because Mister's going to seize you. He's going to seize you with the MAGA hats. Mister's going to seize you. Put that MAGA hat under your coats. That's MAGA hats ways before you gets downstairs owns the court sides. Use better stones, that's MAGA hats ways. Ooh, they gonna see ya. They gonna seize ya before you get downs there. I was looking at y'all like, nah, you just picked the wrong side, big dog. Use better put stats MAGA hats down. I wouldn't do it. I mean, I like Trump, but I wouldn't do it. Don't deny me in public and then try to exalt me in private. Don't deny me in public and then try to exalt me in private. Nope. Oh, use better put stats hats down. Now all of a sudden MAGA hats is blowing up. Now I see all of these black people wearing, get out of here. The numbers say different. The numbers say different. One thing about me is that I stand on what I said. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. Making sure y'all tap in the after hours tonight. Shout out to Ernest Scott. I rock with you. I appreciate you. Thank you for holding me down. Rudolph Robertson says, awesome show. Happy Thanksgiving. I told y'all it was going to be a show today. Rod. What up, Rod's Quadrant in the building? Big dog. Happy Thanksgiving. Back chasing for 3 months now. I appreciate the constant game you provide. I'm always here but silent. Let's get it. Thank you, Rod, for holding me down. You are very much appreciated. Messed up my first super chat. Want to say happy birthday to my wife, Tiffany. Tiffany! Ernest said, what up, though? Happy birthday to you. All this DEI in the community is still bugging. I ain't Wesley. I feel the same way, big dog. Robinson says, if you pick a white woman to be on your show and not after hours, I mean your Millionaire Morning Show, that would set the internet ablaze and make sure she bad. She bad. LTG, Let's Talk Game says, happy Turkey Day, AD and family. Mark Morial was one of the worst mayors of New Orleans. I think they should demolish the urban development. Chris, what up, Chris J in the building? Chris J says, morning to the Chasers. Happy Thanksgiving. And sorry I won't be able to make the Detroit meetup, but I'll be at the first one in 2025. Shout out to my dog, Chris. I appreciate you. JC says, when will some people stop begging? No one owes you jack. J Ben in the building says, do say Everclear and Indica is in the department. That's his definition of DEI. Those are leisure festivities. We don't need lazy folk weaponizing HR for security instead of working. Wealth Building Journey says, everyone must submit himself to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Romans 13 and 1. Q Kennedy says, we stand up for what is righteous. God's right way of doing things. We don't stand for that which is wicked. Examine which party is righteous. Victor Williams. Shout out to my dog, Victor Williams. Y'all best be making us look bad with that smooth brain thinking. You don't believe in the system but voted before? Raise your right hand for it. And now want to let God handle the rest now. God's supposed to do everything Everything for us now. Fake Christians. Woo! Vic got some smoke for y'all. High Tolerance goes on to say, what example is Ray Harrison setting for his family? Would his significant move like him and not bold? Men must establish strong foundations for their family. Talking points are like Italian sausage eating Muslims. That's a fact, though. Ryan Smith Bay in the building says the pride of emptiness is an abomination, and to talk much is the foolishness of folly. I was in the military too when I voted for Trump. Shout out to you, Ryan Smith. I appreciate you. Gap Boy says, proud 21%. Shout out to you. Tino Thomas in the building says, Jesus stated to give Caesar what belongs to Caesar. He did say that. Give God what belongs to God. If I can pay taxes, I will participate in voting. Inaction has killed us. That's a fact. I ain't about to pay for representation, and I ain't got no say in who can then use my money. Jay Hunter Lee says, back then they ain't want me. Now he's hot. They all on him. Back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. I am Annie Marie. Shout out to I am Annie Marie with the parrot character and the super sticker. I appreciate you. Thank you to everybody that tuned into the Millionaire Morning Show on this Thanksgiving. Make sure that y'all don't get into no arguments. Make sure that you eat good, and then make sure that we work it off, because we got a final month that we got to be kicking in. We are back for the Millionaire Morning Show in the morning. And then on top of that, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description at the beginning of the month. Get your tickets to come and see me December 14th in Detroit. And then last but not least, After Hours is tonight. Hit a like for the algorithm on your way out the door. And then also, if you've been here more than once, subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. We do this every single morning. Robinson, final super chat, says, question, Anton, does DEY or DEI hire also apply to a fraternity who hire their own over people because they're in the same frat? I think that networking can help you make a better decision on whether or not a person is best for the job or not. I also want to give a shout out to Tommy. Shout out to Tommy on Cash App, says happy holidays and the grind don't stop. Thank you, Tommy. And Gone Postal says salute for the great show. Shout out to everybody that hold us down. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Stay safe, stay focused. I'ma holler at y'all tomorrow. Peace. Or holler at y'all tonight on After Hours. I'll see y'all tomorrow, or see you tonight or tomorrow. Peace.